I would treat you sweetly, adore you. I mean that you crush me. And at the times like these, oh my faith I feel, and I know just how I love you. Come on, go ahead and crush me, baby. Baby, it's crazy, I'm thinking just as long as you're around. And here I'll be dancing on the ground, on my right side, up or upside down, to each other we'll be facing. My love, keep back the faith we found. You know it, I mean to tell you all the things I've been thinking. My love, I ain't that damn that man, and with the way the ring, I love you, hey. Come on, go crazy, yeah, yeah. So much for you have given, love, that I would give you back again and again. Oh, you know that I mean it, I'll hold you, but please, please, just let me always. Yeah. Thank you very much if you're out there. Thank you very much if you're not out there. Okay. My faith is not always. My faith in technology is not always. I thought this microphone was. My shirt was open. That was maybe just a quick second. I was like, oh, and then no. Yes. Send love to all the musicians that I work with. Send my love and best to all the musicians that are struggling out there right now, not being able to go out and play and work. So hey, you know what? Some musicians that are touring musicians are now giving lessons. So online. So you know what you could do. Another way to pay it forward is, you've been saying, I wish I could pick up the guitar. Or sometimes maybe you've been saying, I always wanted to play the banjo. These are the things that people say a lot. I wish I could play the piano. Now is the time to find someone online, a musician online, that will give you guidance on how you might move forward and make your dream come true. My dream came true during coronavirus lockdown. My dreams to play music. I will not be giving you guitar lessons because nobody wants to learn how to play all wrong. Or nobody should, because I'll just confuse you, and then other people will say, why do you do it that way? It's so much easier if you just do it this way. And I'm like, you learned it the hard way. I'm going to do it the easy way. Thank you all, if you're there, so much for spending time with me. I hope my dark points were not too dark, but I hope they hit you in the heart. And I hope you understand where I come from. And I hope that my life points were good in life for you. And I hope you're having an okay time and all that. And let's mainly try and take care of each other. That's all, Take care of the planet. Take care of each other. It does seem like the planet's rather enjoying this lockdown quite a bit. Have a good evening, everybody. When the war is over, we go back to every day. Will it be the same again? When you've been turned inside out and outside in, at this fire burning bright. Look at how the children play. None of us know what's to come tomorrow, but I'm not going out today. So dance with me like the time we've got is borrowed. Sing it from the windows. Sirens in the dark, where are you going? Pretend that it's nothing, but look at this fire. This is how we keep holding on all the days, all day long. But sometimes things just come apart. No matter how we try, they won't stop. Sing it from the windows. Something outside and I don't know when the storm is over. Picking up the pieces of every day, like memories and picture frames, trying to put the inside out and the outside in. Sing it from the windows. Walking down the hall, nowhere to go. Be good to see you. I suppose when it's all said and done, this is how we keep holding on all the days, all day long. And sometimes things just come apart. No matter how we try, they won't stop. Sing from the windows. Voices outside that no one knows. Sing it from the windows. We'll get going again when the war is over. Much love to you all. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, if you did.
Hello. Okay. Hi. Okay.
All right, we got like 18 seconds left in the ad really quick. So let me just go to the PC's, the gaming screen. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I didn't turn my captioner on. There we go. All right, so we are up and running. Hello, everybody. Welcome to stream. Anybody watching this later, welcome. Hope you are having a good time of day wherever you find yourself in the world right now. We're actually going to put that down a little bit more. My name is Rashido Gray. I stream all types of wonderful, fun stuff, but tonight we have a very special game. It is called Shattered Arena. We are playing it through Tabletop Simulator. We have the creator of the game playing it with us tonight. He'll be walking us through. He's going to be answering questions for us, and we are going to check this out. I know he's been working on this for a very long time, so I'm super excited to see what he has made, the birth of this. I'm actually super nervous too. Because he's an old teacher of mine from my undergrad years, and I really looked up to this guy. Just his mentality, his personality, his advice, just the way. He's so great and such a cool person. I'm so glad and happy to have him here. So let's go and everything is unmuted. So where is all my friends? And everybody is here.
Looks like there's 5 classes. Oh, hello.
Hello.
I didn't see you there.
I didn't see you there. Displaced, welcome as always. Thank you so much for playing this game with us tonight. I hope that we get a lot of fun and table flips and dice flicking at each other. And it says Secret Arts. What do you want me to call you?
You can just call me Scott or Secret Arts. It doesn't really matter. Secret Arts is the LLC that I have the game copyrighted under.
Hey Resolve, hey Golden Ears, how you guys doing? Okay, so it's under Secret Arts. Okay, so I guess I'll just call you Scott then, because that's what I know you as.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's probably gonna slip, because I have the hardest time when I'm streaming Valorant to call George by his other name, and it's like, oh hey. Poops, it's like I'm trying to remember because that's what he has for his display name. So, but anyways, we are all here.
What about for you?
You can call me Colin, or you can call me Rashido, whatever you want. I don't think most people know my real name, which doesn't bother me. My information's all over the internet. I used to do online streams as a pastor with my real name and everything, so like it is whatever. And Scott Agurkus is in chat. Yeah, what up, Scott? I'm so glad you could make it. All right, so this is the most important part of the tutorial, I feel like, because I downloaded Tabletop Simulator. I had no idea how to even get into a game or find a game. So you go to Create Game, Multiplayer. So Displace is going to be the same information as before. It's up on stream right now. Let me do invite only, actually. That way we can kind of keep it a little more controlled. So Create Server, delete our old one. Shattered Arena, load Shattered Arena, and there you go. So this is the tabletop right here. So let me get you to invite. All right, Scott, can you go ahead and just kind of talk a little bit about this while I also get your volume levels tuned in?
Yeah, absolutely. Should I just talk about the game itself? Or?
Yeah, just go ahead and talk about the game a little bit. I'm just trying to make sure all the volume levels sound good and sound even for everybody.
Sure. Okay. So I'm really pleased to be able to be on the stream with you.
Hey guys, let me know how his volume sounds.
And this game is a game that I've been working on for roughly like a little over 2 years. I've taken it to a number of different game conventions, including Gen Con. So last year we were at Gen Con and had like 50 unique players. So it was amazing to have this many people play the game and give us feedback. It was like really positive feedback for them, like overwhelmingly good, which is really awesome. Felt amazing.
That's awesome.
And this is a game that I'm really it's like a passion project of mine. I am looking to eventually publish it as, like a physical tabletop game. That was the plan all along. And then with with the COVID issue, we kind of all in isolation. So I thought, hey, it would be best if I could get my content up in a way that people could play it online.
Right.
And so that's why I'm here with Tabletop Simulator. Because yeah, you can create these content packages for Tabletop Simulator and just allow people to download them and use them for free. So if anybody wanted to, download this to play it and demo it, first, of course, you'd have to have Tabletop Simulator, which is a commercial game product. It's more like an app that you use to play.
It's like a sandbox app. People. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, the package for Shattered Arena is free to download. Like after that,
and you get that content of Shattered Arena by subscribing to the workshop page, and it's just boom in your library.
Right. That's correct. Yeah. Thanks for filling in the gap.
Right. Yeah, because I had to make sure I knew where I was getting it from, because I'm like, okay, like I clicked on it and I'm like subscribe, and I'm like looking at my Steam library, I'm looking at my everything, I'm like, where is this? I'm like, oh, Tabletop Simulator, cool. Let me download it. And then, like I showed at the beginning, I'm like, okay, now what do I do? Like, it's so weird. And I think one of the most important aspects that you didn't mention yet for Tabletop Simulator is there is a table flip option that just says we're done. Like, I really want to hammer that home for people. You can just done, and you're good to go.
Just flip it.
Just flip the table. All right, let's get a new game going.
It's just raining components at this point.
Man. I had you a nice, pretty pink dice and everything.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did.
There, I'll fix that. There.
So I think that I can just stay on as a spectator and do everything that I need to do. I know that there's like a GM position in Tabletop Simulator. I believe. I don't know if you can assign me that color or not. Can you try clicking on my name up there where it says Secret Arts and seeing if you can change my color?
I can change your color, or I can promote you.
Sure. Yeah, I got promoted. I'm not entirely sure what that means, honestly.
I don't. It's my first day.
But I was just promoted, so yeah. But no, I mean, this is how I usually run demos at conventions. I will have a couple of people playing, and then I'll just kind of guide them.
Yeah. So I think if you wanted the little crowny thing next to me, I think you would specifically have to host the game.
Okay, yeah, it doesn't really matter. I can still deal. I don't think I'll be able to see your here, hold this. I can't manipulate anything. That's okay. I can still point to things. Explain.
Can you? I don't even see your hand.
I don't see your hand either.
Oh, you don't see my hand? Okay.
I see Rashida's hand.
Hi.
Come here. Yeah, where are you going? Come here.
Going right here. Yeah. Do you want to host the game and then go from there? Would that be? What's that?
Do you see a hand now? Like I'm kind of zooming around the table.
Nope.
Okay. All right. I guess as a spectator, it's keeping me from doing that. I could just invite the two of you, yes. But I'll need. Displaced, is there a way you can send me, like I can friend request you on,
Yeah, hold on, I'll send you my friend code.
Okay.
Because apparently that's a thing now.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember somebody asked me, they're like, what's your username? I'm like, I don't know, and then I went to my friend thing, and I'm like, well, here's a number, why don't you just try this, because it seems more readily available than my username, apparently.
Sure. Okay, so I guess I'll jump out to the menu then.
Okay. Yes, Resolve, you're right. That was a big thing too. In order to interact with stuff, you have to like right click, and then I usually go to a D20, right click and set it as 20, and then I can move it, and then I can also move everything else.
Oh, yeah, I can give you some pointers on just general interactions within Tabletop Simulator. There's some like easy ways to do that. Like if you hover over a die and you just if you hover over a die and you just type a number, it'll change to that number.
Okay. So how do I just do I just go to main menu? Yeah, main menu, exit out to main menu. There we go. And then we got that awesome tabletop simulator background music.
Oh yeah, I disabled that straight away.
Hopefully it's not copywritten.
Oh, that music?
So yeah, Twitch has this lovely feature of after your video is uploaded, if there's copywritten music in it, that whole section gets blocked out, which is why I don't typically play music during my streams.
Sure.
Alright, I think I just got your invite.
So, Displaced, how am I getting your...
I just DM'd you my friend code in Discord, so you should have a message from me with...
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah. Are you new to Discord?
A little bit.
Okay.
Like, I would expect it to appear in that... Oh, do I have to go to...
So
yeah, where do I go for that?
Go to home, or at least for me, top left of Discord. It'll have the little Discord icon.
I see it there. Yeah.
Do you see a little red circle with the
Hey, Selfless. Hey, Ninja Pirate. How you doing?
Yes,
Thank you, everybody, for coming out. Like, I'm super anxious and excited to play this with everybody. So it definitely means a lot that you're all showing up tonight.
All right,
I really appreciate that.
No worries.
No worries, man. We're still getting people in. Selfless is in here. He says hello. Ninja Pirate's here. Rez is here learning. Gurkus is here hanging out. Like I was saying, I'm like super excited and anxious to have everybody see this.
Yeah.
So, like yeah, this is very exciting.
Okay, so it's only gonna take me a second.
Choose a color.
Do you see my number?
I do.
Okay.
Oh god, it's stuck in my head. No.
There we go.
No.
Okay, so I should have officially requested. Okay, cool. Hey, and there you are. All right, let me invite you.
Oh, I can invite him too if I. Huh. Neat.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, the option for me to invite a friend is still here, so that's cool.
All right, cool. It looks like we're back. We're here.
How do I change my color?
I can assign you colors as well. So what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and I'm going to move to the Game Master position, and then I'll put each of you in place. Oh, okay. So before I put each of you in place at the table, you could, if you want to decide which deck you want, we could do that.
Hey, Rez, thanks for the 500 bits, man.
So no, that's fine. Each deck is like a different fighter. Okay, it's like a different gladiator's weapons, armor, attributes, techniques, which are like moves, things like that.
Okay.
So this game, again, kind of like the three main points of the game that make it a little bit more unique. Number one, deck building is kind of like character creation. So it's like you're creating an original fighter that you're going to use in the game. It's kind of like a character creation for a fighting game or something like that. And then another thing that kind of makes it unique is the scope of the combat, basically. Because it's really like two fighters facing off. You can play this in other game modes. One of my favorites is like a 3-player free-for-all. And then you can also do 2v2.
Are you going to be joining us for that later then?
I don't have that set up right now. Like the 3-player free-for-all. I mean, I do. I don't have that up on like for like a free download on Steam.
Yeah.
So the reason I'm doing this is really it's kind of like a teaser where I want to just offer these two decks, but there are 5 decks that are really well polished and a handful of other ones that need more polish.
Okay.
So there's a lot more content than this, but I'm just offering like this for free to kind of allow people to see what the game is like. But I do actually have other game rooms like this that are set up for 3 and 4 players that aren't available for download. So it would be possible for us to stream like a 3 and 4 player game.
Okay.
But that's not part of like what I'm offering for free on.
Well, for right now, let's just stick with the basics, because
yeah, absolutely.
The rule card has a lot of writing on it, and I got my COVID-19 test today, and I don't know how to read anymore because they just jabbed me in the brain. So,
all right. Well, let's get you in here into one of these positions, okay? So the red mat is actually the orange deck. That is Icon the Pursuer. That's what the name I've given that deck.
Okay.
And so this deck is a little bit more like an assassin. There are a lot of kind of low damage weapons that can attack multiple times per turn. Your main strategy is to try to tie up your opponent so that you can be really aggressive with a large series of attacks on your turn.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a number of different ways to avoid all damage. The red deck that's on the green board is Ludo the Gladiator, and this is kind of like my face character for the game.
Yeah, I noticed that drawing one of the cards. I'm like, oh, look it's the thumbnail is the card. Yeah. Okay, so this is probably an important person. Yeah.
So he's like he's based on strength and appeal, whereas the assassin deck is based mostly on agility with some appeal. Those are the different attribute types. Those like your resource cards that are in the deck.
Okay.
And he's kind of like a 50-50 between appeal and strength. And the main strategies for that deck are going to be to kind of stack up different damage bonuses so you can deal a lot of damage with single attacks. And basically to try to power those through your opponent's defense. Okay. And then on the appeal side of things, the yellow-based cards, the appeal-based, there are a lot of ways to search in the deck or trade cards. So there's a lot of like card advantage type cards on that side as well.
Okay.
In addition to his. So do either of you have an inclination toward one side or the other?
Displaced. I mean, what do you want to do? Assassin or the star of the show? Like, what do you want to run?
I've already chosen. I'm going assassin.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be over here. I'm very fine with that.
Okay. Well, I'll put you on it. Okay. Great. Okay. So as I mentioned, there are different pillars of the game. One is that each deck is sort of like a character. The next is that combat is based on the interactions between just a couple of characters and all the little minute things that they do with their weapons, things like that. As opposed to a lot of other games that are about lots of characters and creatures and, large numbers of things. This is like it feels a little bit more like a fighting game because you're in control of a little minutia of it.
Okay.
And then lastly, the other thing about this game that's a little bit different is that your equipment, you can see there's weapons and armor. All of your weapons and armor have durability, which means that your weapons and armor will break after blocking enough times.
Is that that literally the block 3? This has 3 durability?
No, it's actually different. So the block value on the card where it says block, that's how much damage the card will block from an attack. And then the durability points, which is shortened to DP, is up in the
top
upper right-hand corner.
Got it.
And that's how many durability points each weapon or armor has. So that's how many times it can block before it breaks.
Okay.
There's sometimes other effects, things that will cause extra durability damage, or ways you can sacrifice durability to trigger an effect, and things like that. Well, but generally, it loses durability from block.
Right.
Okay, so let's kind of go into it, shall we? Oh, well, let me give you some pointers on how to manipulate things in tabletops first.
Perfect.
Okay, so this is going to make everything a lot easier, and it took me a little bit of getting used to it first, okay? So if you'll notice in the first thing I'm going to talk about is if you notice in the upper bar of those icons on the top of your screen, there's like a little man lifting a weight.
Yeah.
And just to the right of that, there's a rotation degrees, and this is a snap for when you rotate. So you should change that to 90 degrees for this game. Once you change it to 90 degrees, then if you were to click to like pick up a card, if you use the scroll wheel, it'll go to 90-degree increments.
Oh, okay.
So this is really easy to do things like commit. refresh, so this, like, a card is committed when it's horizontal like this. It's like being tapped.
Right.
And this is like being untapped, which is ready. So this is ready and committed. And then sometimes weapons can be turned all the way upside down, which means that they're exhausted. So this will actually take 2 refreshes for this card to come back into action. So on the first refresh, it just becomes committed. And then on the second refresh, it becomes ready.
Okay, so yeah, it's like a two turn cooldown where it rotates and then rotates. Okay.
Exactly. And you can almost think of it like a clock too. It's like it goes back a little bit, goes back even more. So it like ticks, and now it's ready.
Right.
So yeah, so that's a cooldown. It's like a two-phase turn cooldown instead of one.
Okay.
Just like you're saying. So when you pick up cards to manipulate them, yeah, you can just click them and move them around. You can click them to pick them up and then use the mouse scroll wheel to rotate them. I recommend that even though there's shortcuts. Like if you hit not W, but Q and E on the keyboard, it'll actually rotate the cards just like that. But if you had a die on the card and you pick it up and move it around and rotate it, it'll just go on a little magic carpet ride. And so I kind of like that because, like, if the die is sitting on it and you rotate it, it kind of just, like, moves, like, through the die, and then it might not be on top.
Okay. Okay, so it's that gotcha. There's a different interaction.
So I just kind of recommend picking, but it doesn't really matter.
I mean, it kind of gives it a more real feeling too. So.
Yeah.
Hey, Faust, welcome to
stream.
This
dice bag is like an infinite dice bag. You can take as many dice out of here as you want. Also, you can put them back as long as you don't change any properties of the dice. Like if you change a die's color or something, then it's not the die that comes from this bag anymore, and it won't go back.
Okay.
Now, obviously, for gameplay, you could always just throw dice to the side. It doesn't even.
Right.
Okay, so for changing numbers on dice, because you'll use the 6-sided dice to track durability on things. So, like, let's say if you blocked once with this Pugio dagger, it would go from 4 durability to 3 durability.
Mm-hmm.
So you would take a die and put it on and just type 3 when you hover over the die, and now we know that this die is at 3 durability. That weapon is at 3 durability. All right, does that make sense?
Yeah, how do you type durability onto a dice?
Okay, so you just hover over a die, and then you just press a number key on your keyboard, and it will switch to that number.
Oh, okay.
Now, there's a little bit of a delay on the 20-sided dice because you could be typing in a 2-digit number. Like, I could type in, like, 12, and then it'll switch.
So that doesn't work with the number pad? You have to do it on the keys face?
I'm not 100% sure if you might be able to change something with the num lock or something and get that to work.
Yeah, because it's not working with my number pad. It only works with the top part, which is fine.
It would probably be more convenient if the number pad worked, but it doesn't.
It is what it is. Like I don't want to split hairs, so.
Right, sure.
I'm just trying to make sure I'm getting this.
That's how you can manipulate the dice and change the numbers. Okay.
Okay.
So let's talk about a couple other things too. If I were to pick up this card,
you can also right-click the die. There is a set rotational value option.
That's correct. You can right-click most elements, and then you can access all of their properties through the right-click.
Okay.
It's just sometimes with some things it's easier to just hit like a shortcut or whatever. But yeah, if you are not sure what shortcut you want, you can always just right-click on an object and then just choose.
That sounds familiar. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, if you so I'm gonna take this card. If I take this card and I move it into displaced hand, like if I get it close to the area where you keep your cards, then it will go into his hand, and probably Rashido, you see that card
JJR,
as the back
thank you for the
of
follow.
a card now, right?
Say that one more time. Sorry, somebody just hit the follow button, so I was saying thanks.
It's okay. So do you see the card in displaced hand as the back of a card?
Yeah, it's face down for me.
Right. Okay. So it's face down for you, but for me it's up because I'm the GM, and for him it's face up because, well, that's his card.
My card.
So,
cool.
So the other person won't be able to see your hand automatically. Basically, it'll be face down for them.
That's good. Yeah.
All right. So you can play things from your hand just by dragging them out. If you want to pick up cards from the deck, first let's talk about, like, if you want to shuffle the deck. Actually, all you have to do is hit R when you hover over the deck. Now, the same is also true for dice. You can hit R and it'll randomize it'll do a random die roll.
No problem. I played a match last Thursday. Game is really fun. Oh, so okay.
Cool. Oh, that must be yeah. Okay. Yeah, I played with with Mike, like
he can hear you. So you can definitely say
cool.
hi.
Okay, awesome.
Thanks for the follow, Mike. I appreciate that. Okay, so R is shuffle and
that's correct.
Okay.
And then if you want to search the deck, because in this game there will be a lot of opportunities to search the deck for things that you want. Especially with these two decks. These two decks have a lot of ways of searching.
Okay.
So if you want to search in the deck, you can just right-click the deck and then you go to search. Now, if you'll notice, I'm like the GM, so I'm gray in color. You can see a gray magnifying glass over the deck, so you can tell I'm searching there.
Okay.
So this is a way of knowing who's searching what. So, like, if somebody was illegally searching a deck,
yeah, you can see it. Get out of my deck.
I mean, who would do that, though?
Displays, get out of my deck.
So, yeah, so you can read through the different cards. Oh, and probably the biggest key shortcut here that I haven't even told you about. I hope you would know this by now, but you just hold Alt. If you hold Alt when you hover over a card, it will, or any element, it will zoom in on that.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it like just boom blows it up to the screen. I love it.
No,
yeah,
so
what's really great about that for a game like this is that you can read your opponent's cards really clearly. You know what I mean? If you've ever been playing like Magic or Pokemon or whatever, and then you got to really look at somebody's cards, it's kind of, this is much more
on the rules. Nice.
So you can also do this. If you're holding Alt to preview a card and you use the scroll wheel, you can increase the size of that preview if you want.
I love it.
So you can make the preview size of cards like the whole screen if you want.
I like how it auto faces it to your camera too. Like, I know that seems like a very duh statement, but oh man, when I first downloaded it, I'm like, okay, wait a minute, the rules are over here. So the rules are over. I'm like mousing around. I'm like, all right, scrolling. Okay, got it. Yeah, being able to alt click something, oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, so it makes the quick reference much easier to read for everyone.
Yeah.
You just make sure that it's big and you can just hover over at any time with Alt.
Right.
So yeah, also to draw cards, you can just hover over the deck and you can just quickly drag to like pull a card. But the reason that I don't recommend doing that is it's really easy to accidentally pick up the whole deck. So a quick and easy way of drawing cards is to just type a number while you're hovering over the deck. So if you just type like a 1, you'll draw 1.
Oh, there it is. Got it.
And so, yeah. And, so that's a really easy way of drawing. Yeah, and so if you flip that card over and then place it back on the deck, it'll go back.
How do you flip?
Oh, you can click the mouse wheel and it'll flip the card over that you're holding.
Oh, holding. Okay. So click to hold,
so you can
flip it, drop it. Got it.
Exactly. And you can also, like, check it out. If I make kind of a mess with some cards like this, I can drag across all of them to select them all at once. And then I can pick them all up and I can flip them all together and rotate them all together and all that kind of good stuff.
Well, now I got to shuffle my deck. Thanks for showing on my hand.
If I place this here, then they'll all kind of go in together.
Okay.
So that's a handy one.
I'm gonna play my deck and displace. Go ahead and stop me. Okay.
All right. So should we go ahead and start the duel?
Yeah. I gotta grab my whole deck and put it back, though.
I'm shuffling.
Every day they see me shuffle and shuffle and shuffle and shuffle and there we go. Okay.
That's true. Yeah, you're going to be shuffling every day in this game. It's actually, it can be a lot of shuffling, like when we're dealing with the hand, with like the physical copy. There can be kind of a lot of shuffling.
What depending on what kind of deck how do you determine the starting cards you get like this?
Oh, good question.
Okay, yeah.
Put back in the deck as well?
So for the starting cards, every deck can have 3 starting cards, 1 starting weapon, and 2 starting armor. Make up your starting.
And that's just determined when you build the deck?
Yes, it's determined when you build the deck. Okay. And you just start with them in play because they don't require any attributes. The attributes are the resources of this. So attributes are a lot like lands, magic, except it'll be a card that'll say, this is strength, or this is agility. And so that will allow you to equip a weapon that, say, requires a lot of strength.
Like this right here on screen, attribute, and then it's appeal, so that's a specific resource.
Correct.
Okay.
So you start with these 3 cards out. They don't have a lot of differences in stats, like the starting gear, but there are some little changes. Like, for example, the helmet that Rashida is wearing is, it has a 4 block, but it only has 2 durability. So it can only block twice and it's gone. But it blocks more. Standard. The Pugio dagger has high stats, 1 point higher than the dagger that Displaced is starting with, but his dagger has a property. So it has like a special property in the box. So if you see Displaced's light dagger, it has the ability called throw, and so you may discard this weapon to make a ranged attack. When you make a ranged attack, you can't be counterattacked. So so you have to discard this in order to make a ranged attack, and then Rashida would not be able to counterattack again. Counterattacking is a really big thing in the which you'll see. Okay, so let's kind of progress, but yeah, do keep asking questions.
Also, chat, if you all have any questions or need clarification on something or whatever, please just type it in. I'll read it in, and we can get Scott to answer whatever you need from there.
Absolutely. Doodling on the side of the board. That's amazing.
My lawyer, ladies and gentlemen. I'm surprised it's not a knife that you're carving.
And yeah, it's up to the host to set different different options that players can use. Like, for example, I actually disabled the table flipping when I host.
I can't fathom why you do that. That's so weird.
And then, I usually display or disable the ability to like draw notes on the screen and stuff like that. But that's that's up to you. And I know you guys are gonna not do anything ridiculous during this.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Oh my goodness.
I think this just turned into Pictionary. It's an alligator. It's a jackal. It's a jackal. Is it a jackal?
Trying to draw a barbarian axe.
Yeah.
Okay. Jokes out of the way. Let's get into this.
Continue.
Okay. All right. So how we start out is we would determine who's gonna go first. Okay, so you could either just use a die roll, or we can decide who wants to.
I rolled a 20.
So if you guys want to do a die roll, we'll do it like this. Okay, so we'll do the die roll. You can hover over the die and then you just hit R. So the person with the highest outcome will pick who goes first.
Do I get to use any? Do I get to use any modifier on that?
No modifiers. Yeah, so if you just hit R when you hover over that die.
No, my die is locked.
So
you don't trust me with
how I've
things.
gotten around that is I've right-clicked it and clicked on the number 20, and then I can move it.
Okay, I'll unlock it for you.
Oh, nope, I think you're right. Yep, there it goes.
Okay. All right, great.
Resolve.
Okay. So
Rez, that was totally an axe. Don't be jealous that you can't see abstract art. Come on.
All right. So displaced, you can choose who goes first.
Always on the play, baby.
Okay.
I'm going
first. So we'll start these both at 20. This is your health.
Yeah, you guys can take bets all you want. I accept forms of payment with cheers and bits. So
nice.
Go ahead and start placing bets.
So the only way that you can win is by killing your opponent, really. So if you run out of cards to draw on the deck or something, it doesn't end the game. That rarely happens. Like it often gets pretty low, but rarely that you run out of. It's all about taking the other person's health out. The decks are composed of 40 cards each. So it's a pretty small deck, but it's like has to be really kind of tightly designed when you are building it. Okay, so so displacement go first.
Is 40 the maximum then for a deck, or is that like the minimum?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's a strict 40. It has to be 40.
Okay.
All right. So, looking at the quick reference, I shall start by drawing a card.
Hold on. What we'll do is we need to
start by drawing a card.
We need to get our starting. So after you've shuffled by hitting R over the decks, then go ahead and just hit 7 while you're hovering over your own deck.
Okay.
And that will draw 7 cards. So you got your starting 7-card hand. And then we can do kind of like a partial mulligan, okay, with your starting hand. So what that means is when you're looking at your starting hand, Rashido, do you want to?
Oh, okay. So I can.
You hit 7. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and so so you're looking at your starting hands, and whatever cards you don't want from your starting hand, you can put them on the table, like let's say near the discard area. Like you're not really discarding them, okay, but you're just putting them aside. So if there's any that you don't want to keep in your hand to start with, you can put them aside, and then you can draw that many cards. You can do this once. After that's done, then the cards that you've discarded are shuffled back into your deck.
Okay.
The casting cost, I'm going to call it, I assume are the icons on the top left.
That's correct. That's correct. Yes. So on the upper left area of each card, there's like an attribute cost. It's sort of like attribute requirement. So you have to have those attributes in play in order to play that card. So if there are cards that display gray attribute icons, that's like a wild or like any attribute will do. So let's say you had a card that was like 2 yellows and a gray, you would need to have 2 appeal and 1 of any other attribute. And it could be 3 appeal and strength, whatever,
Because and of the banner. What banner are you talking about, Golden? What do I need to move so you can see the rest of this stuff? Can't see because the banner's super vague. Oh, the Bills banner. Let me move it. Sorry. You're all good. Keep going. I just have to turn something off on my screen.
Yeah, and then other cards, if it doesn't have an attribute cost in the upper left, then you don't need attributes to play it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like a card that's played.
I got you, baby.
A type of a card that you play one of that.
So what would a good starting hand look like then? Like, what are you looking for? Just like a lot of attributes?
Okay, so that's a really good question. So, especially when you're beginning, obviously you may not know what a good starting hand.
Right.
So what you're looking for is, if you have cards that have a really high cost, like 4 and 5, cost, then you might put those aside for later. Okay. Now you want to be able to either have attributes or get attributes if you don't have them. So there are some cards that are items, and one of them called Vial of Growth will allow you to search attributes from your deck. So that's a way to get attributes. So if you've got at least maybe an attribute or two or a couple of ways to get attributes, then you're probably set. Now, if you're really, really stuck, so this is a thing that a lot of games are, building in different things to avoid, right? To avoid running out of resources, okay? So, like, if you don't have the resources, obviously that's really frustrating. So, like, people call it getting mana screwed, right? Like, you just don't have the lands for it or whatever.
I use other four-letter words, but yeah.
Right. So, like, the starting armors in this game, if you look at them, your starting armors, they all have starter sacrifice as an ability. So you may discard this armor to search your armory for one attribute and put it in your hand. So during your turn, you have the ability to just voluntarily discard one of your, any of your starting armors to search your deck for an attribute and put it in there. So you'll have at least 2 no matter what.
Okay, so the S on the card then, where the cost is on the other ones, that means that's a starter card.
That's correct.
Okay, and then starter sacrifice, you may discard. Got it. All right.
Right. So you'll be able to get at least a couple of points of attributes no matter what. Like, I might keep that Gladius because it's like 3 of anything.
All right, now you're just cheating.
Friends in high places, man. So what do you want me to say?
So you set aside cards that maybe you don't want right now. So go ahead and draw from the deck. Wait, before you put it in. Draw from the deck an equal number of cards to replace those. So if you put aside 3, draw 3.
Then cool. Put those in and shuffle?
Yeah, then the remaining ones, I'll just handle these for you. Go back in the deck, and then you shuffle it. Yep. Okay, so these are your starting hands. All right, and we've already decided that Displaced is going to go first. Now, in every turn except the very first turn of the game, you draw a card to start your.
Okay.
To start your. Okay. So since you're going first, you don't get to draw that first card.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is the same for every turn in the game. Okay. Oh, except there's one other limitation. Displaced, you cannot attack Rashido in the first turn. And Rashido, you cannot attack Displaced in your first turn either. So for one turn, each of you are just like preparing to. It's like you're closing in on each other.
Right.
Before you can.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, I'm with it. So 7 cards starting. Then you do basically kind of like a mulligan redraw. Then you start from there. Okay.
Right.
And you can only do that once, right? So it's not like you can just keep mulligan, but you would draw less and less cards. It's you get one extra turn. Okay.
That's correct. So you
Rez, you better be taking notes, man. I'm gonna come to you during test time for this.
All right. So yeah. So the turn actions, quick references there, just to kind of keep you on top of the different things you can do over a turn. So basically, you can do any of the things that say they're main phase actions. You can do them in any order during your turn. Okay. And then it gets down to where it says combat phases. And in a turn, you might attack with one ready weapon, and you might and then you resolve that. And then you might have another weapon that was ready, and you also attack with that and resolve that. So that's why it says combat phases, because there might be multiple combat phases per turn. You can, again, you can engage in combat at any point during your main phase, and you all.
And what? You dropped out there.
Yeah, you cut it out for me. You there, Scott?
I think he might be disconnecting. Should we flip the table and just start over? I see his hand moving. Hold on. There's no sound if you are talking. You know what? We could probably talk in the in-game chat too. Yep, there we go. There's no sound. Nope, that's global. No. Game tab. There you go.
Nope.
There's no sound if you are talking. See, now this is why I wish he had the text tool turned on, because we could type it on the board.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so far I get it. I'm understanding the flow. I'm getting the maneuvering on the board. You know what I mean? Like, just so far I feel a lot more comfortable like sitting on the table. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I like that.
So I'm just gonna go ahead and do this and assume that's correct.
Okay, so I'll read the step as you're going through. So step 1 in any order is 1 attribute. Add it to your attribute stack, which you just did. You just added agility.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then you have item, favor, skill, or trinket to use.
I have nothing with a attribute cost that I can meet. So I would assume I could do something with these guys. Just
what color is your hand?
On my side of the board.
Oh, it's his hand. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and write it out to him and be like, "There's no sound from you." That's
search and remove from one attribute. Put it into your hand.
No sound. Fuck. SOU. No sound from. Shut up, Faust. It's not my first language. From you. In
oh, okay. That's leggings, body armor,
Discord.
bracers, helmet. that's wonderful.
There.
Oh.
Did you just draw that upside down?
I did.
Hello? Sorry.
Hey, welcome back.
It looks like I lost voice. Yeah. Okay.
You're fine. I'm just glad you got the message.
I did when you started drawing. And no sound. I was like, oh no, that's got to be me with no sound. Yeah, I was just going on and on explaining things too. I
thought so. I'm like, I know
everything.
He's talking because I could see your hand moving around and doing this and doing this. I'm like, uh-oh. Stop.
That's okay. Let's just kind of let's just try to get right back into the flow of it. So we'll continue.
So, was I correct in placing this over here?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So this is, you might call this attribute stack. Okay. So when you add attributes to it, you can just kind of overlap them like this, and they become, quite long. I think you have like 8 or so attributes in your deck, 8 or 9.
Okay.
So anyway, yeah. So you can place them there. Okay. Good. And then if you have any items, you can play one of those. And the item has a little icon that looks like a vase. Those never have an attribute cost. It's always for free. There's also a favor, which is another free type of action. And the theme of the favor is usually it's like an interaction between the fighter and the crowd or their sponsor. So favors do things like,
I really wish I could get my stream
have another
sponsored
weapon or something like that. And you can pick up, or you ask your sponsor to send you another item.
What is the max hand size per turn? 7?
There's no max hand size.
Yes, APC Arizona Ice Tea, please sponsor me.
So you can end up with a lot of cards.
Oh, so if I had 5 vials of growth, I could just play it, get 2 more, play it, get 2 more, play it, get 2 more.
Yes, but you can only play 1 per turn.
Right, but like my hand, I could just start filling it out with a bunch of stuff.
Yes, you can.
Got it. I hate discarding down. I think that's so stupid.
So techniques are like spells. Okay, it's like a one-time thing that you're doing that's a skill, and it always requires attributes. So there's one technique, for example, the simplest technique in the game is Brutal Power, which Rashido, your deck has.
Yep.
And what it does is when you play it, it requires that you have 3 strength. When you play it, it adds 3 damage.
Okay.
Now, there are a lot of techniques that add a lot of really special properties to attacks that make it really interesting, but that's just like a really straightforward.
Right.
Okay. So the techniques actually fall into 3 categories. There's a skill technique, which is a thing that you can just do in your main turn that doesn't have to do with combat, usually. And then there's an attack technique, which is something that you just use on your attack step. There's a defense technique, which is a thing that you can only do on your defense in combat. Okay, and then trinkets are the things that you add on to your weapons.
So, question: when I enter to search the deck, because as you're describing these cards, like I keep opening up my deck to like look for an example of what you're talking about, is that the order my deck is in? So like I need to reshuffle it every time I'm looking at my deck?
Klepto.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, when you search the deck, that's the order that the deck is in.
Just gonna lurk. Hi, hope you're having fun. Brownie, we're having a wonderful time right now. Thank you for lurking. Okay, so yeah, so this would be skill because it says technique skill. Okay.
Yes, and sorry that we're kind of taking a little while to get into it. A game of this, a duel usually lasts like about an hour if both players know everything about their deck.
It's a 2-hour stream, man. Like we got time.
Right.
You know how many years it took me to learn other? Yeah, do you know how long it took me to learn other games? Like, this is going fast. Like, I understand it, though. Like, a lot of these are good concepts, and I'm digging on it.
Right. And if you just think about it in the frame of mind that it's like a duel between 2 characters, a lot of, like, in that context, a lot of the cards will make a lot of sense.
Right.
You know what I mean? It'll be pretty clear. It's not, like, a nebulous kind of game. It's, like, the theme is heavy, and so you'll know kind of what you're doing based on, like, let the theme guide you.
Okay.
Okay, so Displaced, you played an attribute card. Is there anything else that you're going to play this turn?
No, I think I'm good for this turn. I don't want to start sacking armor yet until I kind of see what my plan is.
That's a round 2 strategy.
Yeah.
Sure, okay. So then if you want to end your turn, then should we end your turn then?
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right, so Rashido, then it would be your turn. Okay, so what we do at the end of a turn, though, you announce the end of your turn. If we had status dice, I'll just really, really briefly hit status. So you can see there are these status effects, like Poison, Berserk, Fear, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And anytime a card would give you, like, let's say I threw a poison vial at you and you became poisoned, you would put a die here with the number 3 because that's the number of turns it'll affect you. And so at the end of your turn, you would do this kind of like dice cleanup. Okay, so let's say your turn ended and you're poisoned. You would lose 1 health for each die that's in here, which is just 1 die, of course.
Okay.
And then this would turn down from 3 turns to 2 turns. So you'd have 2 more turns of being poisoned. If I poisoned you more, then you would have another stack that would be like a 3 and a 2, for example. So at the end of your turn, you would lose 2 health because there's 2 dice. This would go to 1 and this would go to 2. And in the next turn, this would go away. You would no longer be poisoned.
So you built dot damage into a card game.
Yeah.
Holy cow, that's awesome.
So basically, yeah. So that's one of the mechanics of it. It's pretty straightforward. The other 2 conditions are a little bit more complex. The only one that you guys will get is Berserk. Okay, so let's just talk about that. So with Berserk, the easiest thing to remember is if you're able to attack, you must attack if you're able.
Okay.
And when
Makes
someone
sense.
else attacks you, you have an opportunity to counterattack them. Well, if you're Berserk, you have to if you're able. Now that will also give you a definite lower kind of capability for defense, because sometimes you can use weapons to block, but if you're Berserk, you're not doing that. You're just counterattacking. You're kind of going toe to toe, just exchanging blows with somebody, and that can be bad for you if you don't have the power advantage.
Okay.
Now, fear is kind of the opposite. With fear, you can't initiate an attack. But if you're attacked, you can counterattack. You may counter.
Okay.
When you have fear. The only thing that might come into play is Berserk. These two decks don't use the.
Okay. All right, so you're done with your turn, Displaced?
Yes.
Turn,
oh,
my
and
turn
the other
has
thing that
ended.
happens is, remember this too. At the end of every turn, let's say if Displaced had done something with a dagger and it was now committed, and even if you had done something on his turn to commit one of your cards, at the end of every player's turn, all players refresh cards. Okay? So that means that if Displace attacks you and you use it to block, well, when it's your turn, you're going to get it back to attack.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Right.
So even in like a 3-player free-for-all, every time one player's turn ends, all the players refresh.
Okay, so that's a global thing. So I'm done with my turn. His stuff comes off cooldown. My stuff comes off cooldown. We're ready to go for whatever's next.
Correct.
Oh wow! So this is like
the
fast paced. Like this is like go go go. Weapons out. Weapons ready. Block ready.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey Murder, how you doing, man?
Yes. Oh, but the other thing is, when you do put a new weapon in play, it does come into play.
Comes into play what?
Committed, like it's tapped.
Oh, besides your starting one though, because everything's just here.
Correct.
Got it.
When it comes into play, it comes into play. Weapons do.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So my turn.
So so go ahead and Rashido, like to begin your turn, draw a card.
Let me just shuffle because I know I was looking through there. Not that I know what any of that means right off the bat.
Okay.
Okay, so I got my card. So I'm gonna play an attribute. Sure. I am going to play my Vial of Growth, which has a 0 cast cost. Do I put that someplace, or just like, I'm playing this, do my thing, or?
Yeah, you can just kind of display it like that, and then when it's done, just put it in the discard.
Okay, so it says, okay, so search your armory. So basically now I would right-click, search.
Correct. The armory is the deck.
Right. So do I click it, or do I grab and drag and drop?
You just drag it out.
Okay, so we'll grab one of these.
And anytime you search a card, you need to reveal it. Because you could be taking a card that is not legal for you to take.
How do you reveal it? Just flip?
You just flip it over, yeah. You just show it.
Okay. So that's done.
So now we know that you didn't pick like weapons or something.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So discard, shuffle.
Right. And those go into your hand.
And now when I put them in my hand, they're all... Do you see them still?
No, they flip back over.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
And just a side note, because I'm the GM, I can see both of your hands.
Okay, cool.
So, can I only sack these things on my turn?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so
That's
that was
correct.
an attribute, that was an item. So then there's favor, skill, but I can't attack on the first turn, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So
there
is no combat phase.
Right.
So then I'm done. So that is the end of my turn.
Sure. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So so on over to Displace. Go ahead and draw a card.
Nice.
Okay, so you add 1 attribute point. Okay. Is there any way that I can see his hand or something? Like, if he showed, like... Is there anything that would allow me to see what he's holding? Or no?
I don't think so. Like, not unless you are the GM.
Okay.
I don't think there's a way of seeing it.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering if, like, a revealed card, like, stays revealed somehow. But, I mean, I'm just trying to spitball.
Oh, no, it doesn't. It flips back over when it's in.
Okay.
Okay. All right, I see. I'm going to sacrifice the mask.
Okay.
To search for an attribute point.
Weapons, enter, play committed.
That?
Drop any number of ready weapons or armor. Weapons and armor. I love that so much. That's so cool.
I'm gonna go ahead and play it.
So when you're sacking something, or wait, does it say it on the card? When would you do that? Just at the beginning of your turn? It's like, I'm just going to sack this to get an attribute. I'm then going to play that attribute.
Just anytime during your turn.
Okay.
Like, most of the, like, basically all those actions that can be done in any order during your turn.
Except for the combat. Sacking. Except for combat phase? That is separate from main action?
Like, once you start combat, then, you know, you have to go through all the steps before you go back to your main phase. But you can attack, like, basically right after you draw a card and then still play things after.
Okay. Because at the bottom of combat phase it says continue main phase, and main phase is actions in any order.
Right.
Got it.
Including entering combat.
Right.
Like, that's, you can do that at any time.
What does it mean by drop any number of weapons and armor?
Oh, okay. So, Displaced just sacrificed that because that was an ability that he sacrificed that helmet.
Right.
The mask. Because that was an ability on it. But yeah, you could just voluntarily just drop anything that you
drop into... Okay, like you can just drop... Got it. You literally drop it.
Yeah, you literally just drop it. And,
oh my god, that's so great. I hate it when I have a card out and I just want to get rid of it, and it's like, you can't just get rid of a card. It's like, why? It is mine. Like, why can't... That is so nice. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, in this game you can. The only time you can't drop something is when you've already committed it, though. Like, you couldn't attack with this and then decide to drop it. Like, you have to just drop it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay, so you got this trinket, right? The utility chain. Okay, so this has to go on to some piece of your armor. Now that let me explain what's going on with the mat layout real quick. I'm just gonna move this for a sec. I'm sorry. So this just says trinkets because I didn't want to put trinket on every single card slot, but every single card that you have could hold a trinket.
Oh, okay.
That's cool.
And so this would just kind of go on to here. I'll stack the first one to just kind of show a decent way to do it. If you stack it on first like this, just so that it shows the text box, then you can grab the bottom one and you can like move. So now the lacquered vambrace has a utility chain attached to it. And the utility chain says, when this trinket comes into play, search your armory for 2 items and put them in your hand. So now, Displaced, you can search your deck and look for item cards and put 2 of them in.
Okay.
Now, there is an item in your deck. There is a vial of growth in your deck. So if you're looking for those attributes, you could always take that.
That's what I wanted.
The hardest part will be shuffling once because no more is needed. Instinctively, everyone will shuffle multiple times. Well, yeah, but I mean, like...
Oh, yeah, but it makes a cool little sound.
It does.
So I'm going to say that the artwork on the cards is beautiful. Everything is laid out super nice. This is all very amazing. But that shuffle feature is what everyone seems to be freaking out about right now.
The fact that you can just tap a button. And
because we've all played card games where it's like...
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. No,
exactly.
this is. I love the artwork. So it says Cenkar and Chambers on the bottom of the Vial of Growth. So I'm assuming you made that with somebody.
That's correct. That's
Okay.
correct. In this case, that illustration was made in collaboration with Calvin Chambers, who is, I want to say he's like my partner on this. He kind of is. He spends time with me, helping me to develop it when he can. But most of the time put into the game has been from me, but he has been very helpful in helping me design it and also to provide artwork, like mostly artwork. So all of the art that you see on all of these cards is either my work or...
Yeah, I have a thing here that just has his name on the bottom of it. And then you have the Vial of Growth, which is yours and his, and then pretty much everything else has stuff on here. Yeah, if you want some ideas about cards and whatnot, like Displaced is a monster trading card game nerd, and I'm sure he would love to help out with something.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. I appreciate,
me volunteering people. Yeah, definitely. Get to work, Displaced. Come on.
I noticed that. Okay, so here are my 2 items that I have decided.
Oh, that messenger beetle looks sweet.
Oh, dude. Very stoked. Okay, so they go in the hand. So that has been 1 attribute, 1 trinket.
Right? And you could play one of those items right now if you want.
That's what I'm doing.
Okay, because the item is a separate thing from the thing. Got it. Man, no hand size cap is... Man, that's great.
Right. So one of the other things too is you pull that messenger beetle, and what messenger beetle does is it looks for, it's an item. It lets you look in the deck for another item or a favor. So if you use it to pull another item, you can't use that item till next turn because it is an item itself.
Mm-hmm.
But you could pull a favor and use the favor immediately.
I like the agility is the legs.
Yeah. I was kind of debating on all of the different art for these. So strength is like this axe. Appeal is like this golden cup. It's like you were gifted with, you're like gifted with, I don't know, just charisma and being special. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the agility is that leg icon.
Mm-hmm.
Endurance is another attribute, which is a shield that kind of looks like a Spartan shield with like a chevron on it.
Selfless, I'm controlling what I'm viewing. He is the little, he's the little black hand that you see floating around. But like I'm controlling my camera and point of view. I'm mousing over stuff and alt clicking so you can see all the stuff. If there's something you want to see, please let me know.
Right. I'm just kind of like here because I can help like GM kind of help manage some things. But yeah, I'm just over here.
So APC, this isn't its own game. This exists inside of Tabletop Simulator. It's I guess a mod you could say for it. APC says, "Tell Scott I said it would be a cool idea to add somewhere on the board to keep track of what you did in the turn, even if it's just for beginners."
Sure. And I have had that suggestion before at Gen Con. A couple of people had mentioned, maybe there could just be like a list of the card types somewhere, and you can just like set them there as you're using them and then throw them in the discard at the end or something to keep track of it. And you can check your discard, but it is a good suggestion.
Yeah, I just don't know.
It's not very original.
Like a history tracker in the chat log. I mean, that'd be cool too. It would just say what was played that turn.
Sure.
Is what Faust is suggesting on that one.
Yeah, that would be super cool. I mean, that would be something where I think I'd need to add that like as a script to the base Tabletop Simulator.
Right, yeah, because
like I'm not responsible for Tabletop Simulator. I do not own it.
Right, and that's the funny thing is it's like there's like the suggestions are like, oh, it'd be cool if you did this. It's like, yeah, but this exists inside of something else. Like this isn't the actual like standalone version of this game. Yeah. It's kind of
that's a question I was wondering. Are you intending this to be played paper or digital or both?
God, please say digital.
I'm intending for it to be actually played a physical tabletop copy of this game. And then this kind of came up because of isolation with COVID-19 and things like that. And I used to go to conventions all the time and game shops all over the place. It's really fun to meet with people and play in person. And I do have copies of most of the decks that are mostly updated. I mean, I have been able to iterate faster digitally, for sure.
I'd put a die or a counter on a card that has the
and I think
actions,
I'll continue to use this, you know, even when we're able to all, you know, meet and play in person and stuff.
APC,
again.
I'm gonna need more explanation,
I think this still
man.
has a place, you know. But yeah, the idea is that eventually there would be a commercial tabletop version of this available that would be printed and play with people on the table.
Nice.
I remember when I first saw you posting pictures of cards on Facebook and whatnot of what you're working on. I'm like, I don't know what it is, but I want to buy it because it just looks looks cool. Yeah, like every time I see anything that you're doing with this, I'm like, oh, that just looks so cool. That looks like so much fun. Because I've been to like gaming conventions and other conventions. Is it on Patreon? Faust wants to know, is it on Patreon or anything like that? Guys, you're all part of my Discord, so you're all mods too, so you are more than welcome to jump in and ask these questions directly. Yeah, is it on Patreon or is there a Kickstarter? Faust wants to know.
There's not yet. There will be a Kickstarter eventually for it. I was kind of debating doing that late this year or next year, like before the pandemic hit. And so I'm kind of just in a holding pattern on that for now. I don't really feel any need to like rush it. I'd rather just have it be a really quality, you know, product. And, you know, I want to make sure that if I have a campaign that it succeeds, you know. So I'm taking time, you know, getting email addresses, demoing with people.
We don't want to disrupt the game. This place hasn't even taken a second turn. Whatever, man. We're just none of you are voice shy. I met all of you because of either Discord or TeamSpeak. So by all means.
So Displace, did you have a question?
Yeah. Can I poke him in the face?
You absolutely can. Well, you know what? He's going to decide where you're going to poke him.
Okay.
But yeah, you can try to poke him.
Consent.
So,
where you want me to poke you?
What are you attacking me with?
Yeah, so we're entering.
It's just a little poker. Don't worry.
So we're entering the combat phase. I'll kind of direct the first one, and then after you got this, you would probably be able to just play the game on your own. So, all right. So I'll take you through the combat steps. Okay. So Displace is initiating the combat phase by committing this weapon. You can see this weapon has a slash of 4. The damage types don't usually matter unless a card says something about it, like your slash increases by 1, or if this is a piercing thing, it does this. Generally speaking, it's just damage. Okay, so it's 4 damage. And so now Rashido he goes into the defense step. So that was the attack step, was to do this. Oh, there's one other thing in the attack step. Okay, so you declared the attack, right, to make the attack step. And then, in addition to that, in your attack step, you may play an attack technique. So if this card was an attack technique, I know it's not. But let's say this is an attack technique that says, oh, you're going to add damage to your attack. You could play this. You can play one of them when you declare an attack. So you would throw it out here and be like, I'm attacking with this dagger, and I'm going to do this technique with it. So it adds some, you know, text to that, some special properties or bonuses or whatever to that.
It's a modifier to your attack.
Yeah, yes. So attack techniques are modifiers to attacks, and you can play one of them per attack. So if you had any attack techniques, you could play it. Maybe you don't right now. I mean, this is the second turn only, so that's fine.
Maybe I do. Maybe I don't.
Okay, so before you go with that then, so this turn he played that Unity chain, which took a yellow and a random. Does that somehow, like, commit your attribute to that? So would these be turned sideways, or do you just...
Okay, right. I'm glad you asked. Because, no, you don't have to, like, you know, like, tap these... or, you know, commit them or whatever. These are like a threshold. So attributes work differently in this game. It works like a threshold. So now if Displaced had a technique that required, let's say, 2 agility, he could still use that right now. Like, well, if this was also agility.
Right.
Let's say he had a technique that requires 1 agility and 1 of anything, just like the utility chain was. Oh, it was 1 appeal and 1. So if he had a technique that had the same cost, he could use that with this weapon right now. Does that make sense?
So you have a resource pool, but you're never depleting it. So like.
That's correct.
Wow. Okay.
So a lot of the cards, the max cost for a lot of the cards is like 5. So by turn 5, if you're like a 1-color deck, you're able to use mostly your most powerful cards in the deck, like all the way from, you know, your lowest cost to the highest cost, you know, item.
Okay.
Now,
so
obviously, if you're splitting your growth, like, you know, you got like 3 agility and 3 appeal or something like that, then you'd be at 3 for both attributes. You know, you get what I'm.
Right, I get what you're saying. So basically the limit to, like, so you don't attack spam somebody is literally that you can only use 1 attack.
Yes. Yes.
Attack technique, I should say.
It's the fact that you have to commit your weapon to make an attack, and you can only like play 1 attack technique with it. So generally speaking, the thing that protects, you know, spamming in this game is the number of cards that you can play at any given like moment.
Right. So that's
so
the
like you can use,
got it.
Right.
Okay.
And then there's certain things you can do to kind of chain and make it more interesting, but it you know, it can't just go off the hook like you play this item, the same item again, and the same item again, and boom, 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 boom. You know,
yeah.
It has to be kind of spread out. Like you can chain from one type of item. For example, Displaced has a technique that would allow him to take 1 weapon, armor, or trinket from his hand, throw it into the deck, and then pick a weapon or armor or trinket out and add it to his hand. So he could use that to get utility chain, then play the utility chain to get items. One of them could be Messenger Beetle. He could play Messenger Beetle, get a favor, play the favor. The favor might let him look in the deck for a weapon. He looks in there and gets a weapon. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. You okay. And all that's dictated by the card, not the attribute points.
That's correct.
Wow, that's an interesting combo system.
But you still have to have, you know, the attributes for, you know, those items.
Right, that's the start of it, is to get it started, but then yeah, you would combo chain kind of other stuff to. Wow, that's so unique. Correct. I like that.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what I did last turn, yeah. Like I sacked the armor
to kind of keep that under control, you know, when does.
I like that. That's cool.
Okay, so all right, so sorry, I'm kind of taking a long time describing this. So he's attacking, and then you could play 1 attack technique to add to it, but let's say you're just attacking. So then we go on to the defense step. So that was the attack step. This is the defense step. So Rashido, in your defense step, you can do the following things. You can play 1 defense technique, just like he could play 1 attack technique when he's in his attack step. You could play a defense technique in your defense step. You can also block using 1 of your pieces of armor. Think of it this way. This item is only going to hit you in 1 location. So you can block with 1 of your armor pieces. Okay? In addition to that, you may also block with 1 of your weapons. So, for example, if he's going to do 4 damage and you block with just the leg armor that you have, this would block 3 of the damage. You would lose 1 health, and this item would lose 1 durability. Does it make sense?
Yep.
So let's say his attack is really big. Like we're talking like an 8-point attack or something. Okay? If he's going to do like 8 damage, you could block with, for example, the helmet, which blocks 4, and also the armor or the weapon, which would block another 3.
Sorry.
Oops, sorry. I'm trying to get the die out of there. Right? And so the weapon would block another 3 points, if you see what I'm saying. So with that combination of the helmet and the weapon both blocking the attack, together it would block 7 of the 8 damage, and you'd only lose 1 health. See what I'm saying?
Right. But each one takes a point of durability loss.
That's correct.
Okay.
Now, there's one other thing to think about. Okay, so the other thing to think about is this. After you make your defenses, let's say you do block with this. Like, it looked like you were going to block with the helmet. Go ahead and do it.
I mean, I was looking at it. I forgot that this card over here existed. I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, so yeah, we'll just run it as what it is. So I'll block with this.
Sure. Okay, so he blocks with that. Okay, so this is what's happening in your block in your defense step. You're blocking with the helmet.
Mm-hmm.
Now we go to the damage step. So we look at the damage. The total damage coming from his attack is 4. The total damage being blocked on your side is 4. You take no damage. However, then we go to the durability step. This loses 1 durability because it's what you blocked.
Right, so that goes to 1.
Right. And now, generally speaking, like, that would end your... Like, that would end that that combat phase. But in this game, you can then go into the counterattack step. Okay?
Okay.
All right, so now, this is an important part of the game. This is like a key part of the game, is the counterattack step. Now, you can't enter the counterattack step if you use a weapon to block in your defense step. Okay. So, like,
you'd have nothing to attack with.
Well, but you could have something in your other hand.
Oh, because there's two. Okay.
But it doesn't matter. But it doesn't matter if you do. If you block using a weapon, you can't counterattack on the same attack.
Just period. Just blanket rule.
Right.
Okay.
Correct. So what that means is you have a choice of either doubling up your block to make it a big block, or holding off and counterattacking if you want.
Okay. And so to counterattack, I would just pick this up and say I'm counterattacking.
So to counterattack, you would just basically commit it just like that and be like, okay, I'm counterattacking you. Now it's back to displaced. It's like his defense step now. So in a way, it's like you are attacking him in his turn.
Okay.
Right. So if he's blocking with this, then this would block 3 of the damage. So he would lose 1 health, and this loses 1 durability.
So it always loses just 1 durability.
That's correct. Okay. Unless there's like a special rule for it.
Does your attacking...
actually... No, you don't lose the durability when attacking, only when blocking.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so actually, on Displaced's turn, he lost 1 health and 1 durability, and you only lost 1 durability. So it's like your advantage, it's Rashido's advantage, basically, on that attack.
Okay.
Like, you kind of came out of him, because you just lost 1 durability. He lost 1 durability and 1 health. Okay. So when you start to be able to kind of read the board really well, then you know when you should attack, and sometimes you just shouldn't attack.
Okay.
Now, early in the game, there's only going to be a little bit of damage going back and forth. Somebody described it as tanky at the beginning, which it is, because the board states are pretty symmetrical right now, but in a turn or two, it's going to start getting kind of asymmetrical, and you're going to start to do some of your special abilities that you have from, a specific build. And then it'll get...
He shouldn't have blocked because he sacked the other armor piece. We're learning. I mean, I'm not really taking this as a full serious game, APC. We're literally just trying to figure out what's happening. Okay.
Right, exactly. But yeah, I mean, you weigh those different things as you get.
Does he get a counterattack opportunity?
No, you don't. But if he had another weapon, initiating a new attack would be the same as counterattacking. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, so he attacks me. I blocked with armor. I counterattacked. Right. He blocked with armor. Can he attack?
If this was another weapon, that was ready, you counterattacked him. There would be no difference between him now counterattacking you and now starting a new attack. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm with you. But he can't use another technique, right? Because there's only 1 per turn.
He could use an attack technique because he can use one per attack.
Oh, per the attack step. Okay.
Yes. Correct. And yeah, when you do your counterattack step, like you just did, you can play attack techniques on your counterattack step.
Because it pushes you into an attack step.
Right, because it's essentially an attack.
Wow.
So while that might seem a little bit complicated, like at first, really you can think of it this way. When you attack someone, they may attack you at the same time.
Right. So there's potentially 4 opportunities to attack per turn.
Yes, but there can be even more depending on the special text on your cards.
Okay.
Like in the perfect storm kind of situation, I'm pretty sure Displaced could make 5 attacks
Wow.
with that deck.
So
okay, should we go on from that turn then and continue?
I don't have any questions. Chat, ask me if you have any questions. Go ahead, Displaced.
Has ended.
Okay. All right. So if your turn is over, then both of you should refresh your cards. There you go. Yeah, don't worry. You always rotate it the wrong way first.
Yeah.
Everybody does
Trying to put a USB in.
Yeah, this is like lining up USB cables. It's like, what way does it go?
Okay, so yeah, so Rashida, go ahead and draw your card for this.
So 1.
Yeah.
Okay. Play a tribute.
Sure.
Whoops.
Yeah, you can separate them. You just have to drag away a little bit quicker. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, they do tend to kind of stick together with each other. Again, this is a tabletop simulator feature. I can't really control that one way or the other.
So, what's the difference between this and then this?
Okay, so upside down like this is exhausted. So let's say you did something like that to exhaust the weapon. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now your turn ends, and when it's time for you both to refresh everything, you only refresh one step.
Okay. How do you exhaust
so you're only
something?
halfway. You're only halfway cooled down. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right. So is there an ability or card, something that would make something be exhausted?
Yes, there are. Like they're not, really common cards, but they're ones that usually have like a high cost or like a special situation where you can exhaust. Okay. And Displaced is going to try exhausting your cards later, I'm sure.
Very much so.
Okay, so I'm going to attack.
Okay. Okay. So he'll block with the Vambrace.
Which takes durability loss.
Okay, so that's your defense action, right? And so we're counting the health and the durability, sure. So you go to 18 health, I think, right?
I'm checking to make sure I don't have anything I can play.
Oh, whoops.
Like
sorry.
a defense technique would be what you could play.
Nope, nothing.
And there are defense techniques in your deck. Not everybody does have it.
No, I've got one.
Doesn't have any defense techniques. You've got like all like offense and skills and stuff.
Yeah, all my stuff is hit hard stuff.
Right. Okay, so you block with that. And are you going to counterattack?
I am.
Yeah, there'd be really no reason not to at this point.
Yeah.
So I'll block with that, which makes this go to 2, which makes me go to 19.
Right.
And that's the end of my turn.
Okay. So everybody just refresh. And so, that went really similarly to the first turn, but pretty soon your builds are going to get, your board states are going to get kind of less symmetrical and more in the style of your deck.
Right.
Trying to build up those attribute points.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what. Yeah, get those resources going, which is what I'm literally just staring at. I'm like, next turn, man. Next turn. APC, because I don't need to play one of my items or anything right now.
Oh, I noticed you got this too.
Wait, which one? This one?
No.
What is it? This one?
Oh my god.
Thanks.
You can handle stuff in other people's hands? It's weird.
Don't touch it. No,
well,
I didn't flip
it's
it.
funny that I can flip it because it doesn't do anything on my screen. It just flips it, and it's consistently a back-facing card.
Right.
Is it really?
Yeah. Try it on mine. Here, just mouse over mine and just hit F a bunch of times. It's funny.
It is pretty good.
But on my screen, you're legitimately facing down my cards.
Yeah, mine too. Okay.
Okay, so did you get your starting draw?
No, we already refreshed. Take
Yeah.
draw. There that is. What's that do? That's pretty spiffy.
You're spiffy.
Well, thank you.
So the playmats in real life, are they exactly laid out like this, or are there no playmats in real life? Okay.
Yes, they're exactly laid out like that. I have 8 of them printed, but they're a lot more noisy looking than these. They look too noisy for whatever reason in Tabletop Simulator to me, so I just went with more basic color mats.
Okay.
So one of the physically printed mats is that gladiator's portrait up really close, and then the other mat style is the game logo. Like a large game logo.
Nice.
So there it is right there. You may exhaust the weapon if you block with it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Now, when this comes into play, remember this needs to come into play committed. Yeah.
Fair.
So essentially, you can't just draw a weapon and attack with it immediately, but he will be able to block or counterattack with it on Rashido's turn.
Mm-hmm.
If you may exhaust the... Oh, that's why you wouldn't want to exhaust the weapon, because you don't want to just make it lose 1 durability. Got it.
Additional durability, yeah.
Right. Because when you block with the Scissor Katar, it's going to lose 1 durability as it is, right? Because everything does.
Right.
And after you block, then you could choose to have it lose 1 more durability in order to exhaust the opponent's weapon, to parry the weapon, exhausting.
All right, playing an item.
The messenger beetle.
Lets me search for
an item on paper.
Yep.
Now, the rule book is available on the Shattered Arena website, under the rules section of the website. And it is kind of in a very like rudimentary shape right now. It's just kind of like a text doc where everything, is listed in a very simple kind of a way. Eventually, I'd like to do a nicer looking, rule book than that, with illustrations and diagrams and things that will help with understanding. But in order to get that ready.
Thank you, APC, for posting the link. Yep, shatteredarena.com/rules.
/rules, that's right.
Okay, I will be taking that one.
And and eventually, because some of the art on these cards is also placeholder, like there's a lot of repetition of some of the illustrations. Eventually, they would all have unique illustrations.
Right.
I will be playing my favor.
Okay.
How do I look at the top 6 cards? Do I just draw them and keep them separate from my hand? Do I just search?
You would either have to draw them and then just select them and put them on the table, or you'll have to just like kind of, just pull them basically.
Okay,
like
but they are revealed though.
Yes. Yeah, you reveal them.
Okay.
Okay, so this favor is called outfit lottery. So this is a pretty popular one. People like this because it says from the top 6 cards of your armory, it's the deck, choose up to 3 cards that are weapons, armor, or trinkets, and put them in your hand. But then you have to discard the remaining cards. So that's kind of like the
gamble.
Right. It's a gamble. So weapons, item, or trinkets go into your hand, and the rest go in the discard. Yeah, and the Displaced deck is a very like technique heavy deck. So lots of kind of special moves to be done.
Now, if I've already equipped one weapon, can I equip a second?
You can, as long as you have the attributes for it. Because on your turn, you can equip or drop any number of weapons and armor as long as you have the attribute points for it.
Oh, that's pretty sick.
You're pretty sick.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing I want to point out just really quickly is on your dagger here, it has the ability to be thrown.
Oh yeah, no, I'm totally about to throw that and put the guitar down.
You can just okay.
Yeah. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I was just looking to see if there was any other anything else I could do at this point.
Sure.
I don't believe so, and I have already played an attribute. He's at 2, I'm at 3. So I know I've played one. Yeah, so I will throw this at you.
Okay. I will...
Right, so it's an attack of 4.
I will block. And take 1
right.
damage.
And when he throws it, that's a ranged attack, and what a ranged attack means is you cannot be countered. So basically, you got to do your defense step, the damage step, the durability step, but you don't get to counterattack.
Right.
Right. So then you can equip this, right? Because you can do those things in any order.
Mm-hmm. And then, I need 2 renown. Okay, I can't do that yet. 2. I think that finishes my turn.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, that finishes my turn. Okay.
Wait,
no, I'm not done.
I mean, there's always, sometimes there's some sneaky stuff you can do. Takes a looking over.
All right, so it's my turn. So I
did.
Draw a card. Pick a card.
Can't remember if I should reshuffle.
Here, let me help you real quick. Yeah, you reshuffled.
Right, and so another
right on the top, man.
Another factor that influences whether an opponent can counterattack you or not is the range of your attack. So when you make a ranged attack, just like Displaced did by throwing the dagger, you can't be counterattacked. Now, there are some weapons that have reach, like a pole arm. Like, for example, if you had like a spear and you attack with a spear, if your opponent has like a dagger, they can't reach you with a counterattack at the moment that you're attacking. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So there are some weapons that have the property called reach. And when you attack with a weapon that has reach, you can only be counterattacked by another attack that has reach. And then if a card, doesn't specify what the range is, it's just happening at melee range, like typical range. And you can be counterattacked by any. Okay, so you just put the gladiator or something?
Yeah. All right, let me see here really quick. So I'm going to attack with this. And I am going to brutal power attack combo you. So that's 7 damage coming your way.
Right, because you can play an attack technique on your attack step, and it augments your weapon's attack. So basically, so attacking with the Pugio dagger with brutal power, which adds 3 damage, so it's 7 damage.
Okay. I'm blocking. B.
Okay.
And I will sacrifice a durability to exhaust.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's 7, 4, 3, 15.
Right. Now, so the other thing that you can do, displaced, is that you could also block with that Vambrace, like with your arm armor, if you want to block more damage, but of course it would break.
Right. No, I know. No, I'm holding it in case I need to draw for a renown next turn.
Sure. I just wanted to make sure that everybody understands.
What's your HP? My HP is over here. It's at 18. His is at 15.
Right. Now, displaced cannot counterattack because he used a weapon to block.
Right.
Oh, even though I have another weapon readied?
That's correct. That's correct.
I see.
It's kind of baiting you with that one, actually. Yeah. All right.
Well, there's no way I was taking 7 points of damage.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Well, or you just lose your armor completely.
No,
right.
I'm saving it for that renown.
Okay,
right.
So then that's the end of my attack phase because everything else is gone. I can't do anything else. So then this just flips here.
I mean, you could play this card, but
what card?
The one that I'm.
Oh, I'm not even zoomed in on that part of the screen. Go again.
The fourth card in your hand.
This one.
Nope. Another way.
This one.
Yeah, that one. I mean, yeah, I guess. But I mean, like, I already have.
I mean, you don't. I'm just pointing that out in case you forgot.
No, I know I can. Yeah, but it's kind of weird because there's no hand size limit. It's like there's no need to hold on to it. But why spend it?
Right.
I'm always in that mentality. But I mean, yeah, there is no hand limit size, so I'm just gonna search my deck for more resources.
Right. I usually think of it this way: like, once you have those resources in your hand, you're not, it thins the deck. So basically, there's more chances you'll draw other things.
That's a good point.
And so if that's important to you, then, it's good to go ahead and spend it.
Well, the only important thing here on this channel is friendship, because we are #1 in friendship. I don't know if you see that on the stream, so that'll end my turn. So I'm gonna rotate everything back up to being normal. Yeah. So that makes sense. You're taking out resources, so you're drawing more armor, weapons, trinkets. I get it.
Right.
And that will end my turn.
Okay.
Yeah, and that Gladius, it doesn't have any special abilities. It just has flavor text.
Oh, whoops.
I was looking at the durability points.
I see.
Well, that's what the 4 is for on the top of it.
I tried to be really... I'm kind of proud of my flavor text on some of the cards. Like, I try to be...
So which card would you say is your favorite card? Like, what is your, like, yeah, this is a sweet card. Like, what are you feeling?
Oh, man. Well, there are a lot of really great ones that I like a lot. I would say it depends. Like, there's certain combos of cards that are really fantastic that I like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to make sure that every deck has at least a couple of combos where I'm like, yeah, that feels hot. I like that. And that's like, and especially if that's different, if it plays a little differently than other decks, I think is important. It has to feel different to play that.
So I guess.
So I mean, for a long time, Displaced's deck was kind of like my pet deck, like this assassin type character.
Mm-hmm.
And I really played with that deck a lot in order to kind of get it the way that I wanted to. Okay, so he's using a Fluid Stance, which is a skill technique. So on the techniques, you'll notice on most cards it'll say the name of the the type of the card, and then there'll be a dash, and there might be additional tags. So like this is a technique that's a skill. You can play one skill technique during your main phase per turn.
Okay.
And so in this case, it's called Fluid Stance. So he's out there moving around in his fluid martial stances, getting ready to do techniques. So basically, he used the
deck.
Yeah, so he used this skill to prepare to use techniques. So he plays this, gets 2 techniques.
Right. So where did the idea for this come from? Now that we're kind of just, I think we're kind of flowing with the idea of how the game's going. Yeah, like
Okay.
where did the game come from? Like how long have you been sitting on this? Go ahead and talk about that, and I'll throw some questions at you if chat comes up with anything.
That's a pretty fun story, actually. So a long time ago, I mean, I don't know, I was a teenager when I started writing.
Oh, okay.
I started writing this like a RPG. Okay, like a pen and paper RPG.
Okay.
Because I had the idea that I was going to write this really cool original pen and paper RPG, and it was going to be fantastic. And it took a long time for me to mature and realize that what I was really interested in was systems more so than all of the intricacies of like a game world. And like if you put me in a D&D group, I'm a guy who wants to like play combat really technically, or that kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a kind of like player that I was, and I used to fence all the time and make a bunch of practice weapons, and my friends and I would just beat each other senseless with no protective gear, and of course
number 1 in friendship. Yep.
And so it was clear to me that the core of that pen and paper RPG was about the combat system.
Mm-hmm.
And so then later on, when I was designing, because I teach art for games and some things related to game design itself. So I've designed a lot of games with students and on my own, just for fun and things like that. And I started getting into card games, and I just really wanted a card game that played like a combat system between 2 fighters, and all the little intricacies, like I'm attacking here and you block with this and then counterattack me with that, and then I do this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I basically decided that this I decided that this game should be like a combat system. So it's based off the combat system from that pen and paper RPG, to make my story short.
That's interesting that that it started as a pen and paper type of idea. Like that's really cool.
Yeah.
All right, what is this?
Because
here?
It was all about like body locations being hit and counterattacking and using what you have in your left and right hand during a combat exchange, and like skills modifying certain parts of the rules, things like that. Mm-hmm. And so it just made sense to me that it could stand on its own. It could be a game that's just about a combat system.
Yeah, it's really unique because it feels like this just moves. Like once you get into it, like I feel like I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna play this, I'm gonna attack you for this. Okay, you're gonna do that, then I'm gonna go with this. That like it just feels like it has a really strong bounce back and forth to what you can do.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, because I teach a lot of new people how to play it all the time, and it always takes a while. Like the the stream is going on for a while. If I played, for example, with with someone who knows the game really intimately, like we could finish the game in less than an hour easily.
I'm not countering. Because I'm not stupid.
Are you sure?
You know what? Just for the sake of the game going, why not? Yes, I will counterattack with that, which puts me in attack phase, and I'm also gonna play my brutal attack as I'm counterattacking. So 7 more damage.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh. Oh no, 7 damage.
No, it's what, 6 plus 3, right?
Oh, 6 plus 3.
So you're at 9. Yeah, you're at 9.
Yeah.
Okay, so right, so you're attacking for 9 using this weapon and this attack technique, and then Displaced is playing this. It says defense step, so he's playing this defense technique.
Mm-hmm. Avoid one attack and all its effects.
Yeah, it just basically avoids your attack, and then of course that's going to end the like the combat phase. But also, you notice there's an additional effect on ensnaring dodge, and this, it's a may. It's something you can do if you like. So the additional effect on ensnaring dodge is you may sacrifice 1 agility. That would mean taking 1 that's in play and putting it in the discard.
That's how you.
If you do that, then you can exhaust the weapon you were attacked with.
Right. I am not going to elect that at this point, however.
Sure.
I will take another combat phase.
Right.
I will. I will just eat that.
Sure.
Nope. That would be there. That was really funny that I clicked to roll it and it actually dropped by 1. Like, I'm like, can I just keep clicking this and it goes to where it needs to? Okay.
Right. So you see how that exchange, like that was a little bit more flavorful exchange. So that kind of characterizes some of the things that will come out, when you play the game.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. I've used technique. Don't have that. Don't have that. I believe my turn is over.
Okay. So we will draw 1.
Sure. So, like, kind of responding to the question that you asked me earlier, like, do I have a favorite card? I mean, the favorite cards that I have in these 2 decks, and my 2 favorite things about the decks, I really like Rashido on your Gladiator. There's an exotic weapon that requires like 4 appeal, which is actually like a net. So that net, when you attack with it, if he blocks with anything at all, you can exhaust whatever he blocks with, including armor, which is unusual for armor to be exhausted. And you can also simply discard the net to exhaust 1 card on his board, whatever you want.
That was pretty cool.
Trinket comes in.
And then there's also, of course, a trident. Because, how could you have a gladiator if he doesn't use a trident at some point?
That makes no sense.
So the trident is pretty cool because it has, there are some properties that are kind of similar to D&D, like the trident has the property where it's versatile, so you can hold it in 2 hands or 1. When you equip it 2-handed, or basically just don't have something in the other hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
When it's your only weapon that's equipped, it does 2 more damage, and so it does like 10 damage when you equip it all by itself. So there's a combo. You could throw the net, exhaust one of his cards, then all of a sudden the trident is at 10 attack power.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're now wielding it two-handed. And so if you use that in combination with like brutal power or something, you can deal, like 13 damage with a single attack after you've exhausted one of his cards. There's also the helmet in that deck, which I like quite a lot. It's like the Beloved of Nemesis, or the Helmet of Nemesis. I read that the goddess Nemesis was kind of like a patron goddess of gladiators, which is a real historical, thing. And she's like the goddess of vengeance. So the helmet for the gladiator deck there that Rashido is using, when it comes into play, you can, if I remember right, when it comes into play, you can search for a trinket and put it in your hand. So basically the helmet can come upgraded.
Oh, just like right out the box.
And basically. And when it goes out of play from breaking, you get to draw a favor. So it's kind of like the goddess gives you, something to take revenge with, if you get what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of follows that theme of, it being like a goddess of vengeance.
That's pretty creative, coming up with stuff like that.
So I'm trying to make sure that I incorporate thematic things like that throughout the game that are interesting. And also, there's a lot of like kind of quasi-historical things happening with the armor and weapons and names of things.
Mm-hmm. What type of what am I trying to say here? What type of... Oh, are you going to counterattack or no? Oh, you can't. You blocked with a weapon. Never mind. Yeah, that's the end of my turn.
That's all you want to do? You don't want to attack with this one?
No.
This one right here?
Yeah, no. So what type of So there's the gladiator, right? And there's the assassin. Is this only playable on tabletop? Is what Selfless is asking in chat. Do you want me to answer that?
Nice.
I don't know if he's trying to talk again. He's green, so he's talking, but there's no sound coming out of it.
Yeah, his hand's moving. We've lost him again.
Yeah, there you go. So that was my turn. So go ahead and, I guess, draw your card.
I did draw my card.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to sacrifice the bracers.
I like that we can just kind of like spawn these dice infinitely to keep track of the durability. I'd be so lost without it. Welcome back.
No kidding.
Yeah, sorry my voice dropped again.
No, you're fine.
But yeah, I was just saying, I understand, that you'd be cautious about attacking with the Gladius since he could block with the Scissor Katar, because when he blocks, he could exhaust the Gladius.
Mm-hmm.
But remember that it does cost 2 durability in order to do that. So you can really only do that twice with the Katar before you just, it's all used up. You really can't do it more than twice. So I mean, you could get through that in one, you could look at it from that point of view, like, oh, he's gonna exhaust it, but he's gonna have to use that resource. But on the other hand, I realize also if you have only one piece of armor on with 1 durability, you don't want to break that blocking the other attack.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now, because I've got great stuff in the hand, but nothing that is giving me an armor right now. Yeah. So Selfless is asking, is this only playable on tabletop? Do you want to answer that, or do you want me to?
I can answer that. I mean, yeah, right now it's only available on Tabletop Simulator. Again, the idea is that there would be a printed commercial version eventually after I kickstart it and all that. I mean, we're talking a good amount of time before that would be available.
Yeah, this is very kind of like early-ish still with doing it. Okay, so you're attacking for this for 4?
Process of publishing it, it's still very early, but as far as like the game's design, it's like mostly there, and then it's just a matter of continuing to add content and refine the content. So I hope that answers that question. Yes, right now it's really only available through Tabletop Simulator. Are there any other applications like Tabletop Simulator that any of the viewers would like to see this in? I guess is my question in response. Like I know that there are other ones out there.
Are you sacrificing other applications
that? Like this.
Yeah, I'm dropping it.
Okay. So one of the questions, hang on. Maybe we can buy the game from him, but he didn't say anything about that yet. Selfless. Did you create everything using Tabletop originally?
No. Everything was made for the for the published or for the physical version of the game. Like I did not decide to make this version for Tabletop Sim until the lockdown. And so what I did is I took all the existing content I already had, because I have a huge number of decks like printed, like many of them are obsolete or containing cards that need to be scrapped. And so the main way of playing this would be in person on the table at conventions and things like that.
Right.
But yeah, when when the lockdown was announced, then I just took that content and moved it into Tabletop Simulator. So all the content is created using like Photoshop. Well, almost entirely Photoshop.
I was gonna say mostly Photoshop, probably, right?
Yeah, I mean, even if you look at the borders for the cards and everything, like if you really look closely at the borders, there's all these little nicks and broken pieces and all. Like I hand painted all that myself.
Yeah,
that's crazy, dude.
Yeah, he's that was a good trade right there. I mean, so hang on real quick. I do have a question about the card that he displayed.
Yeah.
So for Concealed Draw, it says search your army for a standard weapon that you are able to equip. What is a standard weapon, and what does it mean by able to equip?
Oh, okay. So let me clarify that. So standard weapon would be one that doesn't have like extra tags after the word weapon. So you can see that Aquila is a weapon. Buteo is a weapon. There are some weapons that have, like, for example, this is a starter weapon, so technically you couldn't pull that using that card.
Okay, so it just says weapon on the top of it.
Correct. There are some weapons that say two-handed or exotic or something like that. You can't pull those.
Okay.
Also, shields are considered weapons. Their stats are just kind of flip. Like your attack is weak, but your block is strong.
And that would go in the weapon slot.
You can dual wield shields.
Oh.
Nice.
So you're kind of like Shaq from Smite. You just walk around with two big old doors on your arms. Just blah. All right. So Tabletop Simulator is the only one I use, unless you're planning to make a custom application like LOR, Legend of Returner, Hearthstone, Magic the Gathering Arena.
Right.
I don't know. I've seen a lot of games that go on like digital multiplayer. I'm gonna block with my armor. Like I can't afford to take 6 damage right now. So that's, what is that?
Wait, or is it 5? It's 5, right?
Yeah, 5. Sorry. 5. So I block for 3, so I take 2. So I'm gonna go down to 12. And
nope, you go down to 11. 13 minus 2 is 11.
Oh, was that 13? I'm sorry.
Nice try though.
So then I'm just gonna put those here. I'll set this back in the bag. I know I've seen a lot of card games made with Unity type stuff before. I've played miscellaneous card games on my phone that are made in Unity. But I mean,
yes,
this isn't following the game itself isn't following like a specific set of rules. It's more just player interaction right now because we're just laying these cards down.
That's correct, and that's the reason why I've made it within Tabletop Simulator.
Sorry, go ahead. I'm not done with my turn yet, but
okay. But that's the reason why I made it within Tabletop Simulator is because all it required is content. You know what I mean? Like, it would be great, and I would be capable of building this in Unity as a standalone, but the amount of time that it would take just to create all the basic interactions and automate all the rules would be a very large expense in terms of time.
Right.
So in order to get this out as quickly as possible, this makes the most sense.
So my Aquila has a set ability. Once per turn, you may refresh either Aquila or Buteo if you have both of them equipped. I do have both of them equipped. I'm refreshing Buteo and attacking again.
Yes, indeed. There's really nothing you can do about that.
Yeah, so what is that, down to 6?
Yes, sir.
7.
Nope, 11 minus 5 is 6.
Oh. Yeah, you're right. Why are we both bad at math? See, that's the problem. You said that I taught you math, so we both made the same mistake.
No, I'm getting
reverse math.
Someone keeps calling me on Facebook over and over again. I'm like, no, go away, ignore.
Okay, now I don't believe I can do anything. I've already played one technique. That's a technique. That's a technique. So I cannot play another technique. My turn has ended.
Okay. So
I like how the Aquila and Buteo are basically just mirror images. And if you put them real close to each other, they look like I've just got really derpy arms.
It's like an arm bird. Yeah. I had, like I said, I kind of reused, some of my own artwork on some of the cards just to get them filled out as quickly as possible.
If I just switch them.
Yeah, it looks a little bit more acceptable that way.
Yeah. I'll take that.
But yeah, I mean, the plan is that they would all have, unique looking illustrations eventually. Like with some of them, like you had that Vambrace on earlier that didn't have spikes. And this one does. So I just painted spikes on.
Well, and I mean, I like the idea of these two being similar because you would think as the assassin he's using, two of similar daggers,
Yeah,
like I could see that happening.
Yeah, that's clearly a pair. So, yeah, I mean, that was the plan, with the illustration that I was kind of visualizing would be that, yeah, they would look very similar. But I was kind of thinking that it might be a character maybe in a combat stance. And so, one of the illustration for one of the cards might be kind of just zoomed in sort of to one side of his body and seeing one of the daggers more clearly. And then the other one would be on the other side or something like that.
Yeah, I like that. Or like one's taking a slice and the other's at the ready.
Yeah. Now I have some large art pieces which are like highly detailed illustrations of the characters from this game. I only have 2 of them so far. One of them is for your deck displays. One of them is Tycon. And then the other one that I have completed is for this other deck that is largely arcane, which is one of the 5 attributes. And it's an arcane endurance deck. So it's kind of like an armored mage. It's kind of interesting.
That sounds cool.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask, is about some of the other decks. So question. If I attack with a weapon and I commit it, can you drop that before the end of your turn and equip a new one if you didn't go through the equip phase? So once it's committed, you can't do anything with it.
That's correct.
Okay.
So if you want to drop one, you should do it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I broke all of those rules.
Did you?
Yeah. I swung with
You
both
attacked
guitars and dropped them
still
and
dropped it.
re-equipped. Yeah.
Yeah, you shouldn't be able to do that. That's why some of the cards have that throw ability, so you can attack and discard it at the same time.
I apologize, Rashido.
So how much HP am I getting back is the question.
You should probably take at least that last 5 back. There's no way I would have been able to swing for that much. You could have blocked some, I don't know, but we'll just erase that last attack.
No worries. So
yeah, I'm a pretty awful GM. I've just been concentrating on answering those questions, and I just completely overlooked the fact that you did that. My apologies. I should have caught it.
No, you're fine. You're fine. We're all learning together.
I was waiting until you were heavily engaged in a question, and I just went through everything.
What an amazing... That's like a lawyer thing, just like waiting for that opportunity, like, yeah. I'm gonna attack with this, drop it, attack with this, attack with this. Yeah, what do you do? What do you think about attack with this? Yo, you're dead. That's so amazing.
I just got like 6 attacks in 1 turn. You're right, this deck just pops off.
Okay, so this shield, I think I really like this weapon too. Its strike with 4 is not really impressive. Its ability to block 6 is pretty great, and it's kind of ambidextrous because you may add +2 damage to an attack from this weapon if you reduce its durability by 1. So you can attack with it for 6 damage if you sacrifice 1 of its durability points.
Oh, geez. Options. Here, we'll use that one. There. Because it's getting +1 damage from the trinket.
Yeah.
Yes, actually, okay. Yeah. So that would actually make it a total of 7 damage if you sacrifice.
Yeah, I'm just putting the 5 on here because it's just permanently just 5 now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and we do that sometimes. Sometimes we do that at conventions where we'll, like, I bring 2 different color dice, so we use one if it's like a stat change, like a different color die.
So
now remember that shield came into play committed though.
Right. So highlight both of them and grab and 1, 2.
Yeah, I mean you could even just turn the top card. Like you don't necessarily have.
I'm just trying to be efficient.
Okay.
God, I really want to survive another round so I can see what this card does.
Then sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's good not to attack.
Yeah, I'm just gonna hold my turn because I mean even if I attack, he can damage me. Just ta-da, you're hit. So yeah, I'm just gonna because yeah, that'll be the end of my turn then.
Right. So another thing to think about too is like now that both that shield, because the shield can block 6 damage, that's pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you've got both of them at the ready, if you were to attack with the Gladius and he counterattacks you, you can still block with the shield.
Yeah. And hit for pretty hard by dropping its durability by 1.
Right. But I mean, like, if you attack with the Gladius and he counterattacks you, then you could block using the shield.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could or the other way around.
Right.
Okay. I have a question about this card. I don't know if you can see me.
Okay, let me see. Hold on. Okay.
In this situation, does it do anything?
The drink we're talking about? Okay.
Accurate strike.
Oh, accurate strike. Got you.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. In this situation, it doesn't do anything at all.
Okay. That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure.
Right. But you can see how that could be a really...
I hate you so much.
Remember when you attacked me 4 times in one turn by sacking your cards and then attacking me? I remember that.
Yeah, I remember that too. Those were fun times.
Scott, I really like this game. This is super creative, man.
Oh, thank you.
This is great.
See, so one of the other things to think about is like, once you kind of digest a game or two, then you start to wonder, well, what are the other kinds of builds that I could create? And for me, that's where the game gets really wonderful, because you start to think about, what if I, like, I don't know. I hadn't really considered like an armored mage until I started working on this game. Like, well, what are weird combinations?
Until you thought of a mage just getting its ass kicked, and like, maybe he should wear armor.
Right. So like endurance plus arcane, interesting, or strength plus appeal, or agility plus endurance, is very like tanky.
So how many decks in total do you have right now?
Okay, so it depends on what, how we're framing that question. The most, if we're talking about decks that are pretty polished and like just about there, then there's 5. Well, actually 6. If we're talking about including all of the different decks that tried and that maybe need a lot of work, then like we've tried probably around 12 or 13 different builds. So like there's a good amount.
Sorry, I was looking something up. Are you attacking me?
No, it's cool. So so the other decks that are pretty polished are kind of interesting. There's one that's mostly endurance, but it also has strength, and it's kind of like a Greek hoplite in a way. So he's got a really powerful shield, good body armor, and it uses spears, and the spears all have reach. So even though you're only really throwing like maybe 1 to 2 attacks per turn at most with that deck, the attack with the spear always has reach, so you can't be counterattacked unless your opponent has reach.
Oh wow,
that's nice.
So you're just just sitting there like block, or you can just chip away at
right.
them.
In some cases, they may not even be able to counterattack you because they don't have the reach, and when they do, you usually block really hard. So it's a very tanky deck that survives till the last hours, and it does have a couple of items in it. There's an item called the oil of luster, and so that it basically heals durability.
I see your hand waving frantically. Could you just tell me what you're trying to do?
Are you counterattacking?
No, I am not.
So that's that hoplite style deck. It's very defensive, and it has the ability to recover some durability. And so like late game, you're up against somebody whose equipment is all beat up, and you're looking pretty,
Swing for 5.
Okay. You have a card just sitting here, right?
Here? No, I don't.
I kept looking at them like, why is he playing a tech? I have no armor. What the hell is he trying to get me to do right? And then you're going like this. I'm like, what are you doing?
No, that definitely wasn't on the board for me. It's been in my hand the whole time.
Oh, yeah, that was just sitting there. Thanks, Tabletop Simulator.
Yeah. Right. Every once in a while, like we've run into something weird like that, where a player's like, "What is that card doing?" And we're like, "I don't know what you're talking about." But then I was able to kind of, as a neutral party, being the GM, I was able to kind of like reshuffle and kind of rearrange cards until we fixed it, you know.
Gotcha.
Okay, so this is that special helmet that I was talking about. Oh, you're not going to put it on?
No. I wanted to look at it first before I just played it, just because it's fun.
The tease up.
So this has to go into a specific spot right there.
Yes. Yeah,
there it is,
all of
everybody.
the
Roll credits.
Nice. All of the armor has to go into, you know, like specific slots on the board. It's like
when this
head,
armor comes
arm,
into play, you may
body.
search your armory for a trinket and put it into your hand. Okay, so search.
Right.
Oh,
so
there you go.
For the most part, you know, I mean, there might be some situations where you can't make this happen, but generally speaking, when that helmet comes into play, it comes into play improved, you know, by a trinket.
Right. So we're gonna grab this one. Flip. Shuffle.
Right.
Yep.
And the reason I word it that way, like going into your hand, because maybe you have a different trinket in your hand that you want to use on the helmet.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it just gives you the opportunity to choose that. And what is it again? It's it's the armor splints.
Stop,
okay, so
I'm
this
reading
is
the card. I'm trying to put my dice on.
You put the trinket on top of it.
I know, because I'm reading it.
Okay, so fine armor splints. It gives +1 block and +2 max durability. So yeah, so
like
you have 5 durability, and the block is actually at 6. So that's a very solid piece of armor.
Yeah, man, it would have been great 2 turns ago when I had double-digit health, but you know, whatever.
So that's another thing too with a deck like Rashido, your deck. If you have really strong weapons in play, it's really suited for counterattacking all the time. You know, somebody comes at you for 5 and you counterattack them for 8 or something. You know,
right.
But you can't be doing that if you don't have armor on to eat some of the damage.
Yeah.
And make a counterattack. You know, or you're just taking direct. You know?
Yeah, it's luck of the draw, and I'm never in a great place, as Displaced knows from many Magic games we have played together. So, okay, so now, just because this is what I wanted to do, because you mentioned it very briefly, I'm going to...
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to play this, and this is Berserk 1.
Right, so this is Provocation, which is a skill.
Right.
So he's so skilled at provoking you that you went Berserk for 1 turn. So yeah, so what we do is we'll take a die, and right, and you place it with Berserk, so you'll be Berserk for 1 turn. Okay, now remember that these count down at the end of the owner's turn. So this is going to go away at the end of Displaced's turn.
Okay.
So right now, since this happened in your turn, Rashido, if you attack Displaced, he must counterattack you. And then also on his own turn, he must attack, if able.
Okay.
So that means that he can't be blocking you to parry with these items because he must counterattack with 1.
Well, I thought it was I must counterattack if able, and if I block and parry, then I'm not able to counterattack. So
now,
Berserk shuts off all defense, but you should just...
It shuts down your ability to block with a weapon. Because you need to use the weapon to counterattack.
Okay. So it's forcing him to counterattack.
You can still block with armor.
Damn, that's powerful.
It is pretty powerful. You can still block with armor. You just must counterattack if you're able, which means then that you cannot block with a weapon.
So then he can't parry.
That's correct.
Okay, so I'm going to attack with this.
I will block with this.
Okay, so you take 3.
That's 6.
Yep.
Yep.
And you lose 1
You
durability.
take 1.
Yep. I keep clicking on it thinking it's a counter, and it's not.
Right.
Okay.
And right, so since this Thorned Vambrace, right, whenever you block a melee attack with this, your attacker loses 1 health. So
All
Rashidi already lost the 1 health, right?
Yep, I went from 5 to 4.
He took it down.
Okay.
I will counterattack because I am roided out.
Yes.
Okay, I will block with my armor here. So that changes my durability from 5 to 4.
Correct.
Okay. And because that's 6 damage and you're hitting me for 5, I take no damage.
Right.
I'm going to attack you with nothing because that would kill me.
Damn it! Damn it! So close. So close.
There you go. You can just remember you're berserked.
That's what the dice for, silly. Get that out of here.
Then I'll end my turn with that, so these will all come back up. Displays. We might use this because it's just a simple thing where you can drag crap around on the fly. Might use this for D&D.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
Yeah, just to give me a simple grid for stuff. Like, oh, this is nice.
Yeah, there's probably some content packs out there that people created that would be really handy for.
Okay, Displaced, it is your turn.
No, I know. I just drew. We'll do that because I can. I don't think I have any more agility in here, but let me look. Negative.
You're down to 6 cards already? Oh, you've been searching a lot and doing stuff, yeah. Because I'm still sitting at 17.
All right.
Right, and the game does not end if the deck runs out. You just continue.
That's comforting. Yeah, there's like just a lot of stuff in this that makes sense, you know. I block.
Are you counterattacking?
Oh, right. Yeah, I'll counterattack with this one.
And are you going to sacrifice durability on it to increase the attack power?
Oh yeah, that'll add 2 to it. So we'll put that to a 4. This is 5. So that becomes 7.
Okay. So I'll block with this and this.
Now you can only block with 1 armor.
I'll block with this.
Because again, it's like the attack is hitting you in a specific location.
So I'm shield bashing you in the arm, apparently.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. And that goes to 1, and you already went to 3.
Yep.
Okay.
And you take 4 damage.
Then I'll attack again. Because I got stuff.
I will block with this, which means I take 1
right,
damage.
and because his health is so low, it's not like that much of a danger for you. On the second attack, there's no way he's going to counterattack. He'll just die.
Yeah.
And then I will refresh and attack again.
Yep. That's me dead.
And there it is. Right? And then if your turn ended at that point, then you would, the Berserk would go off the board. Because you count down the pips on these dice, like at the end of your turn. So you would then be released from being Berserk.
Trying to flip the table. I'm trying to flip the table for.
You're just too weak, man.
I know. I just noticed that it says that in global chat because I'm used to like a gem exploding or something. All right, so search. What else? What else do I have in this deck? Reveal one weapon, put it in from your hand. Put it in your armory, then search. Put it into your hand. More stuff gets stronger. Cause to have Berserk 1. Discard 1 card. Draw 1 card.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Accurate Strike says I can target an armor even if it's already committed.
Correct.
So if I had used that to target his already committed helmet, would it have exhausted, or does it just take the durability hit?
It takes the durability hit.
Okay, so it doesn't like overcommit when I force it to block twice?
That's correct, but that would be an interesting additional effect. Like, that sounds like a pretty cool additional effect for it. The point of it is that, let's say he had like a weaker armor, you could target that. Or even if this armor is very strong but only has like 2 durability or something, you could just knock it out.
Right. Yeah, it's good for getting rid of armor with bothersome text on it for sure.
Yes. And there's another combo with that I think is quite good. You have a weapon called Armor Pick.
Yeah.
And when an opponent blocks using armor, if they block Armor Pick using armor, the armor loses 2 durability. So you could imagine like using that plus Accurate Strike.
Yeah, to just finish it off.
Yeah, to knock armor out of play like pretty easily.
So yeah, here's
so right on Rashido's side. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, here's the heavy trident you were talking about. Reach. You can only be counterattacked by weapons with reach, and then it says, while you have no other weapons in your hand, heavy trident deals 2 more damage. So that's 10 damage per turn.
That thing's crazy.
And it might surprise you because a lot of times people are like, "Oh, that just seems like so much damage for a weapon to do." It is, but consider this. Okay, so Displace might be able to just drop a technique to avoid it completely and exhaust it.
Yeah.
He also, if he's not Berserk, could double block. Using basically especially if it's one of these 2 top tier weapons that he's got. Like if he blocks with Aquila and then also parries and also blocks with this armor, you'd lose 1 health. It would become exhausted, and Displace would lose what? Only like 3 or so damage, 3 or so health.
4, 3, 7. Yeah, he'd lose either 1 or 3 health.
So so you can see how there are ways to mitigate that really big damage.
Yeah.
Like it can't last forever because you're losing 2 durability per turn if you double blocking all the time. You're not getting the
cost is so high. It comes out late game.
So, yeah, it's 4 strength, 1 random.
Right. And he actually can't even counterattack against that though because of the reach. So it makes a lot of sense to kind of turtle up against that, just try to weather it. Especially if you can exhaust it and then go back at him. So the other thing too that's kind of interesting, you get that weighted net, right? So the combo I was talking about is if you have the weighted net plus the trident in play, and you throw the net, you could use it to exhaust one of your opponent's cards, let's say a piece of armor or something. Like especially now, you could exhaust this. For example, if you were in this state where everything's already committed, you exhaust this, and all of a sudden this goes to 10 attack power, and then you drive it in, you drive in for that attack and like finish the game. The Bold Manica is kind of a cool armor. It doesn't block very much, so you're probably going to be taking damage when you use it. And it has average durability.
Mm-hmm.
But if you block with that and then counterattack, your counterattack deals 2 more. So it's nice in a
Yeah, it's a good combo type card.
Right.
This,
and you can only get that advantage once per turn, of course, because it's...
Yeah, and you can only do it basically twice, because that durability is going to shatter pretty quick.
Right. 3 times.
Or, yeah, 3
Unless
times.
you put this on it, if you put the, put this trinket on it.
Yeah, that's true.
And now it's starting to look pretty good.
1 block, 2 max. So, if...
So, here's... One thing, too. Please hold that question. Do ask me that question in a sec.
Mm-hmm.
One other thing I wanted to point out really quickly, since we're looking at that and looking at some combos on your board, on displaced side, one of the crazy things that this deck could do is, imagine if you still had the, let's say a starting weapon in play. Okay, it can be thrown, right?
Right.
So let's say he had a starting weapon in play, and he decides to throw it. So that's an attack. It goes out of play. Then he uses a technique that looks in the deck for a weapon and puts it into play ready. Because that technique allows it does come into play refreshed. So if you were attacking after doing this, then you were in the clear. You did right.
No, so what I did last time, I had 2 Katars. What was that? So I attacked with 1, dropped it, played
I see.
the Aquilo, attacked with the other one, dropped it, played concentrated attack to pull Butello out. It's refreshed. I attacked, and then since I had a pair, I refreshed again and attacked.
Correct. So you can do something similar to that that's legal. Like you could throw that dagger.
You could do it without breaking my game. That would be awesome.
You can do something very, very similar that's totally legal. Like if you throw the dagger, that's 1 attack. It goes out of play. You use that concealed draw to look up a weapon and put it in play ready. Let's say it's this one.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can attack with it because it was already ready. Attack with the other one because it's also was already ready, let's assume. Refresh because if it's, it has the set ability. If you have both in play, you can refresh 1 and attack. Attack there. So that was what, 1, 2, 3, 4 attacks. And then there's an item in this deck that is the, it's a dart, essentially, the Plumbata. So you make a ranged attack causing 3 stab damage. You cannot be counterattacked. So it's basically just an item you throw at somebody for 3 damage.
Oh, yeah.
So it could be like a 1, 2, 3, refresh, 4, and then 5 with that. So there can be some pretty monster flurries in the Perfect Storm situation. One thing that's kind of cool too, this card, this helmet, the mask. Forget about the masked effect. It doesn't even matter in this matchup. There's nothing that actually works that way. So there's some items that cause you a status effect, like for example, a poison.
Well, it would have shut off his berserk, right? If he berserks for 1 and it's 1 less duration, it just doesn't attach.
But that's actually a technique.
Oh, whenever an item gives you a status effect.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
So the provocation can still get you, even though it's not like an item, since it's not. But yeah, so there are items that cause Berserk 1, and so this would just block it.
Yeah.
If you got hit with a poison vials are usually 3, so you'd only get it for 2 turns. But the main thing I was pointing out is that this is sacrificial. So it says when you block using the armor, it breaks, and you take no damage. Now that's different than the dodge technique you used, because when you use the dodge technique, it's the only thing you can play. Like if you use that technique that says avoid a one attack or whatever, then the attack phase or the combat phase ends after that. So you can't like dodge and counter attack on something. But this, because you take no damage when it breaks, would allow you to avoid all damage, and you'd still get to counter it. If you get what I'm saying.
Okay, well, why did that card say I couldn't counterattack? Where is that? Ensnaring dodge. Okay, so this says avoid one attack and all of its effects. And you're
Right.
saying I would not be able
say
to
on the
counterattack?
card any further than that. It maybe should. In the rule book, it says if you play, it says something like this: if you play a defense technique to avoid an attack, the combat phase ends immediately.
Oh, okay.
All right, so that's
so I could just say that on.
Yeah, because I was just looking at the quick ref, and it just says play one defense technique, and then it continues on to damage, durability, counter.
Sure. So I should probably update that card to, to say that. To say that, the attack or the combat phase ends.
Yeah. I mean, well, if it's in your rule book and that's what you're expecting people to have when they're onboarded to this game, when they first make that initial purchase, that's fine. All we've got is the card. If this card is going to be what people see first, I would definitely add something about that on there.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I just want it to be clear regardless kind of how they're first approaching the game. So I think, like, coming from that point of view, I should add it to the card.
Yeah, I think you should.
So, generally speaking as well, I mean, knowing all of the rest of the cards in the library of this game, there are other dodges that have other secondary optional effects. And there's a basic dodge that has no additional, it's just like it costs 2 agility and has no additional effect. So all it does is just avoid an attack. But then there's some kind of like upgraded ones that have a secondary effect that could be triggered. The arcane dodge, there's like a dodge type card. It's like I think it's called it's like corrosive mist or something like that. It basically you turn to corrosive mist and the attack goes through you, but if you sacrifice an arcane attribute, you cause 1 durability loss to the weapon that was attacking.
Nice.
Which is kind of another fun one. Surprise damage a weapon.
Have you done any cards that kind of utilize both classes other than just the casting cost? Like, say, these dodge cards. It looks like most of them are agility based, and I'm guessing that their secondary is sacrifice an agility point to do something.
Right.
Have you looked at anything where it's like an agility based card, but then you say sacrifice an endurance point to do something? Do you have built-in synergies?
I don't have anything like that right now, but I'm not against that. And there are some split cost cards, which you can see, where it'll cost you like you need to have 2 strength and 2 appeal or something like that. Yeah, that helmet. But no, I don't have any that sacrifice a different attribute right now. But that's something that I would include. Yeah.
Rez is asking in chat, are you planning to sell all the decks as one big box like a board game, or is this going to be more of a card pack type of game?
Okay. So more like one big box. Okay. The plan was this. I mean, this could change, but I'm not going to be selling boosters. Okay. So one thing is 100% sure, it won't be a booster pack based thing. Like that's 100% sure. For two reasons. One is a lot of people don't like it. Because you have to spend a lot of money to go looking for, you have to spend a lot of money to go looking, to gamble basically for the cards you're chasing, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think you need to have a really big user base in order for that to work. I wouldn't want to launch a game like that. I mean, I like the joy of opening a pack and being like, ooh, what did I get?
I like the smell.
But it can be expensive to look for specific types of cards, and aftermarket is not a profit for the publisher.
Right. Oh, not at all.
So what I want to do is I want to pack multiple decks into one big box, but then for expansions, I want to do dueling decks. So it'll be like an expansion where now there are two, decks that are composed to be a good match against each other, and they might be in a new style. And so you can purchase that and even play that alone, or just add it to, your built decks that you created using because I want people to be able to create their own decks.
Yeah,
like
that's
I think
exactly
that's
what I was about to say. That's my
really
favorite part of trading card games, collectible card games. I love brewing decks. That's my jam.
Yeah, I mean, and I think I really enjoy that too, especially with a game like this where it's almost like character creation. You're like, what else does this guy need that I can make it really interesting, powerful, or what is some cool, surprising, synergies I can create. Make like unorthodox style characters, things like that. So for those additional, like when I say dueling decks, I'm talking about packs of 2 decks, a lot like Magic or even Pokemon does, where you can put 2 decks together and design, be played against each other, but then you can integrate them into your library already. And then when I do that, when I create these dueling deck expansions, I want to actually go outside of theme. So it might be fighters from a different culture. So it might now be, 2 characters from Warring States period, Chinese military, or, like there's now samurai, and there's now, whatever, that can then be integrated into the game.
Rez says +1 for supporting custom deck builds.
Yeah, I think that's really important. That's just like a key thing that I absolutely want.
Yeah, because how it's like right now in its super basic form of it's the 2 decks, it kind of reminds me of Keyforge. Like, here's the deck, this is what you have, go play it.
Yeah, and so I would be presenting a bunch of pre-constructed decks like that, but then encouraging.
Right, you're giving the option for somebody to customize and giving the option for somebody to make it their own character, which is a really interesting way to look at it, because you are playing a character.
Right.
Are you keeping
that's a really good question.
Are you keeping to this time period kind of setting? Like, we're not going to run into a Stormtrooper deck down the road, are we?
No, that's not really the plan. The plan isn't to go way outside of like the setting. It's to stay at least somewhat in that kind of quasi, almost like low fantasy in a way. It's like there's some historical fiction, some low fantasy kind of element. It's not totally high, or and I'm not going to go into like this is a sci-fi deck or this is a modern character. But no.
Yeah. Plus the licensing for Star Wars through Disney.
Right.
They would be psionic spirit blades, of course. Not lightsabers.
But I mean, the thing though, I do want the setting to have a little bit of wiggle room. I don't talk too much about the setting and anything that's written yet, but I kind of see it like this. They're in a place that's like Tartarus, or almost like an afterlife, or another world that's a lot like where they're really from. Okay, so they're in this kind of alien world where they're forced into this arena by these immortals that just want to watch humans kill each other.
Pretty
and those immortals, they're desensitized to death. They just want to, they want to see that. So they force these, humans to fight each other, and they might be from slightly different times, and they might be from different cultures, like that. But nothing way outside of genre.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't have a lot of questions. Like, now that seeing through it, playing through it, getting a step by step on it, yeah, this is great.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, this is amazing.
So to me, like the main thing when I knew that this was really going to work, because I mean, I think everybody kind of has that doubt that maybe this isn't a good idea.
Last chance for question, guys. I'm gonna cut it off
until they hit a point where they go, okay, this is a good idea. That point for me really was last year at Gen Con. I had several Magic the Gathering players play this and really liked it. And for me, that's kind of a gold standard, because I know that in reality, people who are really into Magic, they are highly invested in it.
Right.
And when they get together with other people that they know, they're probably going to end up playing that if they play any card game.
Right.
But there was a guy who said, exactly that. He was like, it's like this. I'm really invested in it. I'm always going to play card games. He's like, I wanted to just kind of see how this was, although I knew that when I get together with friends, I'll probably only ever play Magic. But I got a few turns in, and I was like, oh, this is kind of different. And the flavor became, the flavor really appealed to him.
Have a good night, Rez. Like thanks for hanging out, man. I appreciate that.
That feeling of the game being a little bit different. And and then he was like, you know what? By the end of one game, I was like, I want to know what that deck is about. I don't know what this deck is about. I want to play 10 more games right now.
Oh, wow. You hooked him.
And when that guy said that, somebody who is firmly a Magic the Gathering player, then I'm like, okay, I've got it in the right place.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm definitely headed in the right direction. So that was very
so just a couple questions before we end it here, because it's about midnight.
Anybody else who's still there, I just want to say thanks for watching. And you guys for playing also.
No, it was great. Seeing you post a couple things online, and what really got me, I think it was when you were doing a Facebook stream, and I saw they were playing it digitally, and I'm like, oh, I can do that. I can jump on that. Right. That's great. Yeah, that's very doable now. It's perfect for what I do with my life. So first question is, when you go to the conventions, how many how many decks are you bringing for people to experiment with?
Okay, so usually it's kind of like an amusement park. There's at least one ride that's out of commission.
Right.
So a lot of times I have 6 decks, but then often one of them needs work, or we discover some kind of problem with a deck, or something that's written that that's imbalanced or whatever. And so one of them's kind of out of play, but usually like 5 decks, with one of them being out of commission.
5 decks in one. Okay. We brought all these, can't use this one.
Right. So I can facilitate games. I think one of the main things that I want to emphasize though too is, don't forget that there are different modes you can play this in. Like 3-player free-for-all is really good. I really enjoy playing 3-player free-for-all. And now that you see how the game is played, you can imagine there'd be a third player and we're going around in a circle. I mean, the main thing that's different is the win condition. So when one player is defeated, the player with the highest health is a winner.
I was just about to ask, how do you avoid people turtling up? So you still want to drive to kill that person, because the game ends at death number 1. But I guess still with like a 3-person, the incentive to attack, I would think, would be diminished because you don't want to put yourself out there as the target and then have the other
Right.
two. Yeah.
Correct. But at the end of every player's turn, everybody refreshes.
Hmm.
So if you go out and attack, you're still going to be able to block.
And it's not like that third person could sneak a counterattack in. You still get to
Correct.
choose who has the ability to counterattack because you're choosing the attack.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So in a 3-person, if the first death ends the game, what's to stop people from just consistently 2v1ing the whole time?
Well, one of them would have to be ahead.
Yeah. Like, I'm not going to kill the person who's weak if you're 7 hit points ahead of me. I'm going to chip you down first.
That's correct. And that's the main reason for that rule is actually to get people to diversify who they're targeting.
Yeah, because we can't focus one and then you and I head off, and I think, I've got you later. I just need to take care of this guy.
Right, because it'll end the game. So
Yeah.
there are a number of reasons why I like this. Again, one is like, again, if the three of us were playing and let's say, let's say displace, you could kill me in this turn, but Rashido is ahead in hit points. Obviously, you don't because you're going to hand the game to him.
Yeah.
And if there's a way that he could maybe kill me in the next turn, you should try to do something to stop that, if at all possible.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. And so, the main thing you're kind of watching, the main thing I watch when I play is I'm trying to get in a 3-player, is I'm trying to, be at least just ahead of both other players. Or keeping, as long as they're really close in health, I feel safer.
Yeah.
If I'm ahead by a little bit of both of them, and, I don't know. And a lot of times you really don't know who's going to win those games until the last couple of turns. It's like a nail biter all the way to the last couple of turns. So I really enjoyed that 3-player free-for-all. Now there's a 2v2 way of playing the game that I'd still want to test some more. Like that's like the least tested way of playing is 2v2. And I want to do it a little bit like Two-Headed Giant, where health is shared and your turn is shared. And there would be a few like special additions to the rule, like favors can target your teammate. One thing about items, I mean, in a 2-player game it doesn't matter too much, but with items you can target anyone. So you could target yourself, you could target the other player.
Okay.
So there's some kind of interesting things you can do with that, like help an ally, obviously, like help them recover, or
I was gonna say, is there anything that would be health recharging in this?
Yeah, there are a couple of cards that do some minor health, do give you some minor health recovery. That's the term that I use for healing, and healing anything, whether it's durability or health, is recovery. Because it's not my intent that the health can go over 20 or anything like that. I don't want. I mean, that can happen in Magic. My friends were goofing around. They're like, "Look, I can get to like 40 some health," and I'm like, "Well, okay."
One of my friends was playing a game. She was white, and I think the other person was green. She eventually lost, but her health and his health was, I think, 200 or 300.
Oh my god!
And it's
That's insane.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the recovery is limited to just whatever the max is. There are some items that recover durability, some effects that recover health. The endurance deck has, if I remember right, a body armor where you can sacrifice an endurance attribute to regain 1 health. And so, like, you could do that every turn. as long as the armor is still in play. But it's costing you the whole resource gain every turn. Now, one really easy thing you can do is you can actually go to, if you went to games and you could just pick the game again, it'll reset everything. So you don't really have to clean up after yourself.
We're trying to be nice players and put your game back together, okay?
Considerate thing to do.
So not to be right, not to be a but you can do that.
I can't flip the table though.
It won't even let me click the button
because I disabled the table flipping.
So for somebody to, I guess I have two questions now. For somebody to just play this, how would I pick a seat, and how would Displace pick a seat?
Oh, right. Okay, so whoever is the host, like you can look in the upper right-hand corner of the screen where it has our name.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever's the host, you can click on someone's name, and then you can say change color. And when you do that, you'll see little colored circles appear around the table for the different places you could sit.
Okay.
And you just pick one. And so it just moves them to that position around the
Okay.
And then there's one space in this room for like a GM like me.
Like what you're
And I think there's even one more. And then I think there's even one more space for like a spectator.
Okay. And my last question before we're going to call it, because it's 10 after midnight, is what's the next step for you then? Where is what's the
That's
next
a good
step?
question. That's a good question. And with the pandemic, kind of, it's hard to choose what my next move is really, but I guess I just came off of a really critical step, which would be to get this available.
Right.
Online in a way that people can play it. And so the next step would be, definitely doing things to clarify certain things. Like, for example, I think I should probably add more information to like that dodge technique of that, the fact that it ends the combat turn. You can't, add any other, you can't also block or counterattack or something like that. It just kind of ends.
Right.
Kind of catching things like that. So general, general iteration, like cute,
stuff that comes up in like playtesting.
Right. But also the other main things that I need to do, one is to make a really nicely designed rule book and kind of update the text in the rule book as needed.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now it's a very, very simple looking rule book. It's just text. It has no diagrams or anything. Like that really needs to go in. And then the next thing would be to I actually wanted to kind of beautify the game room a little bit, even though that's not really a critical feature. And so Calvin actually is working on a stone. It's kind of like a shattered stone piece of architecture that will replace the table.
The wooden table?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the wooden table is it's just one of the tables that comes with Tabletop Sim. It's like not a custom table.
Kidding me? Do you see the architecture on the bottom there? Like that's hella custom right there. Those little patterns. Ooh. Pay a lot of money for a custom table like this.
The table is straight out of Tabletop Simulator, and also the environment, that kind of blurry background. This is also default Tabletop Sim.
So this table in the background are the teapot of Tabletop Simulator.
Yeah. Yes. So I have an environment map kind of just generally sketched out that looks like a painting of the inside of like a broken down. And so I'd like to, do that. So there's some cosmetic things basically for the Tabletop Sim. But mostly making sure that, I address any issues with card text, updating the rules.
One One question I just got in chat: how do we stay in touch with him and follow the development of the game?
Yes. Okay. So that's an excellent question. So you can go to shatteredarena.com, and there's a way to subscribe for email updates. However, I very rarely send any email updates from that site.
True story.
That is really going to be there to tell you when it's time to do the crowdfunding. If you want to stay more updated with minor kind of updates, like when I finish a new piece of art, or we finally decide we're going to go to conventions again, or we make additional content for this, the most updated places are the Facebook page for Shattered Arena and also Instagram for Shattered Arena. So if you like, to keep up with all the little minute updates, then follow on Facebook or Instagram. And
APC,
also,
can you get the links for that?
Maybe... yeah. Do you have them? Do you want me to send links for that? Real quick.
I'm just gonna throw them up in chat really quick while there's still some people here. He does also have the last question is if you're looking for any help on anything, is there any way the community can help you at all?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the main weakness that I have right now is that I don't really have a significant community built up around the game. I mean, I have a lot of people who know it, people from different circles, or then just people from my friends circle, which are super helpful and they're so great, but I need other people besides just my friends.
You need somewhere to find some type of mass appeal that can get beyond the friend circle expansion.
Exactly.
Which is
I really
difficult.
do need a community to kind of talk about it, or if you know anybody who you think might be interested, to tell them about it, to share the Facebook with them, or Instagram, or direct them to the website, or tell them about especially about this Steam add-on for Tabletop Sim.
Right.
And I was thinking that I should, because the Facebook page is just a wall basically, and I do update it frequently. But I was thinking I should start a community, like a Facebook community. About it. Like most successful games do have a Facebook community for them.
Right.
So I guess, one of the main things that, the community can do to help me be successful with it would be, I don't know, to be on the lookout for that. Like, I may open up a community page on Facebook, and it would be super helpful to have, the first group of people to populate that and talk about things. Really, it's just about exposure. So I know I'm going through all these long-winded responses to that question, but really it's about exposure. Just tell people about it, play it too, love it. I mean, the main thing is it's not even necessarily about me promoting like a product. I don't even really see it that way. It's just that I want other people, I would love it if other people would play the game that I love so much. Right. Is the main thing.
Right.
And enjoy it, try making custom characters. I mean, that's the coolest part. Just to be around, be involved, sign up, tell people about it. Super helpful.
Well, on my for whatever my community can do to help. I mean, people like playing games like this, and especially because my channel's big focus is really just playing games with other people and engaging with other people. So it says number one in friendship. That's why we'll try to be super cool and awesome with each other here. Being able to play something and being able to display it like this is definitely super helpful. And now that I know what's going on, Displaced knows what's going on, like I'm definitely not opposed to playing this again on stream and just kind of hanging out with people and whatnot. I think for that, one suggestion I would have then is for this setup, you don't have to have the decks automatically spit out the 3 starter cards or whatnot. If you could just have those like off to the side over here, like where you know, the rule card is or next to the dice thing, then you can just grab the deck. Nope. Grab
sure.
the other deck, and then I search through it, put out my 3 starter cards, shuffle, and then I run it. You know, that gives people more variety over time, even if it's just adding 1 or 2 more decks. And then you have 4 decks, and then you just, right there, you have different combinations being able to go against each other, a little bit more variety for the long run without having to invest much more time into, you know, Tabletop Simulator itself.
Absolutely. You know, the main thing is this. Like, I do want people to enjoy it and try, you know, different. And I know it can get stale to play like the same 2 decks against each other all the time. Although they do kind of unfold differently each game, and so you'll have different experiences playing the 2 decks each other again and again. But yeah, I mean, some additional content, I'm not against it. I just don't want to be in the situation where I, you know, basically outmode my own product, where I just, here's the whole thing.
Right.
You don't have to buy my product at all.
Yeah,
I mean, I would like to sell the product so that I can, mostly so that I can make more product. You know what I mean?
Because I think my biggest complaint that people were not really like, they're like, oh, I have to buy Tabletop Simulator, and it was, does he get a benefit from that? And it's like, no, that's not him.
No.
That's another company. And it's like, oh,
that's correct.
You know, I'd rather somehow do something so I could benefit it to him because of this is his project as opposed to this.
Right, and I get that. I really get that. I would love to just be the main person who just supplies us directly. It's just the additional, like I said, the additional cost of you know, programming that all myself, like creating the whole application and certain automated, you know, game rules and things like that. It's just so much faster to put the content directly into, you know, something like tabletops. And one other thing I would say though too, I mean, if you're somewhat new to tabletop sim, I mean, this doesn't really you know, refute your argument. I'm just saying, if you look at tabletop sim and all the different things you can subscribe to for it, many of them are commercial games that do have a physical copy that's available from big publishers. So this is being used, you know, by, you know, successful, you know, game publishers to provide free demos.
APC Tabletop Simulator is $20.
Yeah, it's $20. You can sometimes find it on sale.
Right.
Like if you keep an eye out. I want to say like a couple months ago it was on sale for like 10.
Yeah, I think I saw that because somebody mentioned something. Because this isn't the first time I've heard of it. This is just the only reason I grabbed it.
Sure.
I'm like, oh, Tabletop Simulator. I'm like, you're welcome. I'm like, oh, it's $10. I'm like, I don't know what that is, and who am I gonna play tabletop games with? That was the end of my looking at tabletop sim.
Yeah, sure.
I'm like, okay, cool story. Bye.
I guess the answer is, you know, anybody else who's got it. So you're gonna play.
Yeah, now it's this, and this is fun, and I like this. Yeah, man, it'd be so cool if you could get something just basic Unity built. Just with 2 or 3 decks, and then like, yeah, I'll buy your Unity program and I'll stream the hell out of that.
Okay, so if you want to see way into this fantasy that I have for the game, and maybe it's not even practical to think about it anymore, but at one point I did have this ridiculous kind of fantasy for this game, and I think it's not unattainable. Like, I think it's still something that could be done. But I was seeing it as, you know, possibly, you know, its own standalone game, you know, a video game that I would make myself. And if that was the case, I would still have it be in the format of a card game, but I think I would want to have a 3D avatar.
Yeah.
So like you would have your character who's like a fighter, and when you add, when you play the cards to add gear to the character, then they would actually load, that armor and weapons onto the character and everything. And when they make attacks, they would actually, be animated and play out those combat sequences.
Have a good night, APC. Thanks for hanging out, man. Yeah, that'd be really cool, loading assets onto an avatar and then having those avatars interact with each other as they're doing things. Like, that's
so
kind of where some of the stuff is going. Yeah.
Right. And I could almost see this as like a VR thing, where like you're right there with the fighters, or maybe even you are your own avatar or something. You know what I mean? You're facing just the other person's avatar.
Yeah, VR is definitely a thing that is becoming a reality. There's no harm in trying to plan something for that.
Yeah, I mean, I've made some really simple VR games using Unity just like for fun. Like basically shooters and things where you're avoiding obstacles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But nothing really serious.
Well, this is a nice serious step into a nice serious direction.
Sure.
It is. Yeah, it's about 12:30, so I'm an hour and a half over my normal stream time.
Appreciate it. I don't know if
I've got state inspection tomorrow morning, so I'm gonna have to call it. Special thank you to Scott for coming in the stream, showing us Shattered Arena and hanging out and playing the game and walking us through it. Thank you to Spliced for playing as well and participating and being the guinea pig with me. Thank you to everybody who stopped by. Anybody that is still around or watching this later, please visit shatteredarena.com. Go to Facebook, search Shattered Arena. You can find it there. Instagram, Shattered Arena. This is fun. Like, I'm tired right now, so I'm not showing it, but I really enjoyed this, and it was a cool experience to have. So,
yeah, thank you, Scott,
for
I really
letting us play, man. Thank you very much for playing and hosting, and for everybody who watched. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, Mike was in here. We had 15 people watching at one time. We're down to 8, so I mean, we had pretty good numbers for the night, which I'm pretty happy with. So. Yeah, this definitely can be something that we can get in every now and again. Because APC said he wants to play it for some time, and Scott, getting you to play a game with people would be great as well. So, hope everybody has a good night. We are gonna go raid JPie. He is doing something. I don't know what.
What is JPie doing?
Looks like he's doing Returner. Runeterra. I don't know why I can't read. But anyways, yeah, everyone have a good night. So thank you very much.
All right, good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Raid now.